Hello and welcome to our show Midwest Weekly, starring myself, Hairwiz, and my co-host, CLT. Today, we're going to give you a breakdown of not only Week 5 action, but also Week 4 across the Midwest Sweat League here in fall of 2025, and what a year it's been so far. With that said, unfortunately, CLT will not be here for Week 4, so I'm going to be discussing that all by myself once again, but he will be here for Week 5. This is going to be a long episode, so expect to be watching a lot of content. If you don't want to, I'm sure you can just skip through. You're always welcome to do so. But we do apologize for any inconvenience it caused last week. It's been a rough scheduling go of things this split. Lives have been very, very busy. With all that said, I am excited to get into week 4. So we'll go ahead and do that. So the first series here we have to talk about today is going to be between Hidden Leaf, aka the Hashira. I keep doing this every single time. They really, really wish they could change their name. But yes, it's the Hashira versus Capuchungus Deluxe. Um, and let's see if we have anything. We do have some screenshots. Screenshots are good. Screenshots are great. All right. So here in the first game, what we see is that number one, CLT did sub in. I think he'd love to talk about the series, but unfortunately, he's not here. So, but yeah, he did sub in. He also subbed in week 5, so he'll get to talk about that one at least. But yeah, so Guillaume here, kind of sticking out already. 10-1 and 7 here on the Fiora. Fiora, a champion that we don't see a lot of, but we did see her in week 4, and she did have some success. You know, there's going to be another series we're going to talk about. I might have been in that one. That Fiora did kind of pop off. Also noticing that Viego, I am a big hater of this champion, but Akaza here showing out to be, somebody week in and week out has played very, very well. I mean, I'm gonna put this out here now. Could be an MVP candidate. Just saying in the jungle role. He's been very excellent all split. So 11-0-10 made the Viego work. And I mean, the comp has a lot of single target for blowing up, right? Between the Thrush, the Xerath, and obviously the Viego himself. So they can certainly one shot a target off a hook. And there is definitely some killable targets here. The Syndra, the Kaisa. I'd even argue that the Mbessa isn't really that tanky. Jin Zhao is weird. He's not tanky, but he is. Well, obviously, we all know about the Crescent Guard that can kind of disrupt and make it hard to hit him if you're not within the circle. But yeah, so any which way, that's something that's sticking out to me right there. Like, there's really good performances there. Um, Tenjin also looks like he went off on the Thrush. On Ira Stark went off on the Sivir. I mean, the whole team kind of did their thing. CLT probably had the quietest game but he's the sub. Still looks excellent. 4-2-7 here against Pilk's Syndra. So why don't we go ahead and kind of we can look over the game a little bit here, kind of see what transpired. As we're doing that, I don't have anything particular to discuss this week. I don't really think I want to go into how teams can improve, but I do want to kind of talk about what the playoffs are starting to kind of shape into here. So at least for these two teams, we kind of discussed that here as we let this play over a little bit. For both of these teams, Capuchungas, obviously this is week 4. I know that for the week 4 situation, after this loss, I believe they dropped to 0-3. So in order for them to have stayed in, they'd have to have a successful week 5. I will leave that part of it. I won't state what happens until we get to week 5. But I know that that was an important part for them. Coming into week 5, they needed to get a win because off the back of this loss, it put them in a bad spot. What a beautiful hook there by Tenjin. Well played. On the other side, I think the Hashira, they're lining themselves up to be a top 2 in the group, as we've discussed all split. At this point, after this win, I want to say they moved to 3-0 or 4-0. I don't remember when their bye was, but nonetheless, this win was huge for them. I put them in the driver's seat, keeping up a coin flip, and they're fighting for that bye going into the playoffs, right? So if everyone doesn't know how the playoff format is going to work, there's going to be 6 teams that I've stated. It is going to be double elimination, and the first 2 teams will get a bye. But again, it is double elim, so that will affect some things. The bye is like good because it allows you to basically get a free pass into the next round, but it doesn't mean like you're not going to be playing a lot of games and a lot of series. You still are. You're just playing one less series. Getting that break might be pretty nice too. So right now the Hashira and Coin Flip, right, especially here after week 4, they're fighting and vibing for that one seed. I don't know when they play. I can promise you this: they don't play in week 5. So um, whenever they do, that's probably going to be the winner is going to get the 1 seed here. Um, it is very very exciting to consider though. I mean playoffs, man, it's gonna be great to watch, and I'm really hyped for that. Let's go ahead and kind of scroll through the game a little more. Always like to kind of see what happened. Um, this week I was on a disappearing act. I just kind of come and go as I please this split. I'm just kidding, guys. It's all just scheduling, man. It's been a rough scheduling go. Even for casting series, and you could see early on here, even in this game, we're talking into the 12-minute mark. The Hashira is obviously a top team in the league right now. I've got them in uh, the rankings in the past weeks, high up in the rankings for a reason. And you can see the difference when a top team is playing against a team like Capuchungas compared to maybe a mid-tier team. They are just dominating, controlling the map. It's not very close, you know. Um, Capuchungas, of course, has looked good throughout their first couple of weeks. I think they've played pretty well overall, but you're just seeing that difference, right? And you can just see it here. I mean, like I said, 12 minutes in, it's already a 5K gold lead. Let's go ahead and scroll more towards the end of this game. I'm sure it wasn't a very long one. I didn't actually check. Let's check the time on this. Time. So it's a 23-minute game. Okay, I just wanted to see. So we can kind of see what happened towards the very end here. 20 minutes. This is the worst part, trying to scroll and trying to find the kind of the ending fight. Here we go. So it's right about here. So you see the. I go a little further back. We do see a couple kills. So not sure what happened to Mbessa. Can we actually see that? What happened to Mbessa, man? I don't know. Okay, we'll just watch the shins out here. So first off, Foe's trying to move into the jungle here. Obviously when you're behind, like that's always a risky thing to do. And unfortunately, he's gonna get himself caught out here, and that's gonna probably start the snowballing effect. Um, when you're behind as a team, something I always state, you gotta move as like a 4-man unit. Like you cannot move alone if you want a chance back in the game. Because for you, you want the numbers advantage, and if they're moving as a unit, you're definitely screwed if you're by yourself. In the case that the enemy team is not moving as a unit, you might be able to get a catch. If they are, I mean, if you want to take a team fight as 5, you can, but it kind of dissuades them a little bit from trying to look for a fight. Um, but of course, if they see a single individual, it's no problem for them. They've got the money, they're pretty fed. They'll go ahead and kill that target, no problem. But yeah, you see the double inhibitor here, and I mean it doesn't take much to win this game. And this is how clean Hashra uh, is looking at the moment. Honestly, even against like the higher tier teams, they've looked very very good. So clean victory, taking care of business. Like I said, CLT coming in here, he gets to have a couple moments. I'm happy for him. Popping off out here on the Xerath. He ends up getting the double kill at the end of the game. And man, I swear, every time I'm looking, his Thresh is just landing hooks. Unfortunately, that hook was a death sentence. No pun intended. Uh, but, yeah. So, GG on the first game here. Let's go ahead and get into game 2. Don't worry about the power rankings, guys. You didn't see anything. I don't know why it always does that when I exit out. It's so strange. Okay, so game 2 here. Let's see what kind of sticks out. This game is another 23-minute game. So, I mean, just back-to-back weeks, very, very, or not back-to-back weeks, but back-to-back games, very, very quick finishes here. And Capuchungas has been pushing teams to 29, 30 minutes consistently, even 30 minutes plus at times. So this is a very, very dominating victory here by Hashira, showing why they're a top 2 team in the league. Guillaume had a nice game here on Aurelia. So, feeling comfortable picking the 4 horsemans, as they call them, right? 2 of them up at the top lane. First it was the Fjord, and it was the Aurelia. Again, we had seen this, and we're going to get into that series next. We had seen this already, or I think next, in another series. So, I don't know if these champions are strong, or if people just feeling like they can just hand check the other player. And that could also be it. If you feel comfortable and you know you can just hand check them, you might pick something like the Aurelia, like the Fiora, the Camille, so on and so forth. CLT here on the Hawaii. Doesn't look like he had the best of games, but man, Akaza just, whoa. 20-4 in the Graves. Yeah, I mean, if he's not in your MVP talks, guys, then like, I don't know what's going on. He should definitely be up there. I think he had, like I said, every series I've seen him play, he's played excellent. He's been very, very good for his team. And then we see Ira Stark here, 209 MF, and some more hook champs from Tenjin. Blitzcrank here. Kind of talking a little bit about Capuchungus here for a second. We didn't discuss them as much in the first game. You know, I think their draft here isn't bad. I'm not the biggest fan of the Ari pick. I like what they're going for here, I think, overall. I'd probably just get rid of the Ari and the Poppy if possible. Poppy is going to be obviously good for dealing with Aurelia, but I just don't see the usage of it bot lane. I'd like to maybe see something like a Braum, something along those lines. Keep the team safe. And some more range out of mid lane would be nice if possible. Good front line though from Golden Sunset. It seems like a bit of a disjointed comp in my opinion. Not the biggest fan, but let's go ahead and scroll over to this and kind of get a view of what happens here, at least early on in the game. So there was the invade led to a kill. No, it did not. Okay. Yeah, not even off a hook, which is crazy. I mean, it's so hard for me when I look at this game for Capuchungus. Like, how do you really play it, even if like you're not up against the wall against a very good team, right? I don't think that's a situation you want. I'll level up, keep CLT from committing. Oh, foe, that was actually really well executed, but the fear is so beautiful. CLT trying to shine there, but some unlucky things happened there. Yeah, I mean, it just seems like a hard comp to play in my opinion. Like, there's a lot of range from CLT here on this way, and even MF on the Misfortune. Like her bullet time gives her nice range into what is relatively a short range team comp, right? I mean, the Jhin, yeah, he's got utility, but I also just don't see them blowing up targets as quick with this comp. To make the Jhin as effective, it's just really hard to play. I think it definitely is. And then of course you got a champion that likes to build Bork, and so Sion's not gonna have a fun game. So let's just kind of scroll towards the end of this game, and we can get on to the next one because I'm trying to reserve my voice as much as I can before I get to the talks with CLT here. Yeah, I mean, look at that lead. 12K. Jeez Louise. That's not even right. Alright, so I'm gonna watch from here a little bit. They get an initial pick here on the Hawaii, and what's crazy about this? There's literally only one Drake taken in this game. What is going on? This just must be an interesting game to watch if you're a viewer because it's 21 minutes in, and there's literally one Drake. And when did they take that Drake? At like 17 minutes? That doesn't even make sense. I guess you don't need Drakes when you're just stomping the game, right? Initial pick there on CLT. Looks like that might stall the game out, but I mean, you're down 2 inhibitors. It's nearly impossible to play. Oh, and then Campbell looking like he wants to try to make something happen for the team, but I mean it's just nearly impossible. And what a flash hook by Blitzcrank, man. So yeah, that's pretty much your game ender. And Foe's just walking back to base with 0 HP. Very, very sad. I mean, like I said, this game looked very different for them to play. Kaza unofficial triple. That's pretty much how it ends. So GG to Hashra there in week 4, getting themselves in the victory, staying undefeated. Kind of just taking care of business. It was one of those weeks for them. So the next series we'll get into is Vancouver Impact Challengers versus Scorch. and we have nothing. I really love when we don't have anything, and I don't know why. Okay, interesting. So there's less for me to look over and discuss because of that. But we can kind of like take a peek at the comps here. So what do I think about the comps? Let's see. So Vancouver actually taking away the Zillion. That's something we don't see often. Fiora again popping up. This just seems to be Fiora week. Um, Very interesting. I don't know if she got buffs coming into this week or something. It's a possibility. Um, Again, she's a champion. It's all about hand checking, in my opinion. Um, in the Mundo, though, I do think it's pretty good. It's obviously not too bad into stuff like the Maokai or the Sivir. The Lux might have range, but the Repose can deal with that. So I actually think Fiora has a lot of value there. You got a Zillion to speed you up. So I actually do like the Fiora pick a lot. Uh, Ashe there for just to pick off. You don't really need a lot of damage from her if you have Fiora Jinzao. I think that kind of clears that. So the damage spread is really good. So Vancouver's draft overall I think is really, really nice. On the Scorcher side of things, they're kind of drafting for the, I would say, more or less the late game, right? I think Melio Sever is a very, very strong duo there. They're going to outscale tremendously, right? That's how that comp wants to be played. Like, they're going to be able to kind of take over a game if they can get to the 30-minute mark. And Siver's, like I said, one of the best AD carries. She wins the most of her games, especially in this league. But at the same point, if you don't get a big enough lead, or I should say it the other way, if you don't fall behind too much, you're fine. But if you fall too far behind, it's an issue. So I'm wondering if that's kind of how the game went for them. Kind of get into here a little bit. Kind of look it over. See what happened. What happened here to Scorch and Vancouver? So yeah, the early on game, it just looks like very difficult for Scorch to do too much. I mean, you can see early on the Ashe, absolutely insane early on lead, 4-0 in the first 10 minutes of the game. Um, that becomes a problem. I think Ashe is one of those champions. If she does get like super far ahead, can be disgusting to deal with. I mean, the slow is like, how do you play against that? Get the Zillion to keep her safe. Keeping her spacing well. That is definitely not easy to deal with. As far as these two teams, we'll keep the thing. We'll talk about playoffs here again for these two teams. Um, Vancouver was coming into this week, kind of same as Scorch, really needing a victory. Had a lot of playoff implications, as we talked about the top of the bracket. Coinflip and Hostro just kind of sitting up top. That's an unlucky death, by the way. Flashing and getting hit by the briefcase. But yeah, so having to come into this week and needing to get a win on both sides. I think they were both like 1-1 or 1-2 maybe. I feel like 1-2 is what their records were. Um, and so this was very important for both of them. Or it could have been 1-1 for Scorch, 1-2 for Vancouver. It was something along those lines. But they both needed the win. And there's like about 4 teams fighting for that third spot in the group. And so coming in, it was very important. Vancouver last split, they took care of business against Scorch. If anybody remembers, they were able to beat them the time they played. So I was kind of thinking that it was going to be a very close series between the two of them. But then at the same point, Vancouver kind of looks like they might have upgraded a little bit in their play. I know I talked a lot about how their early part of the split has gone for them, but I was just waiting for them to kind of start to teeter in the right direction, and I think they're starting to do that, and this is an example of that. So yeah, coming in, they both need the victory. If either team falls to whether it's 1-2 or 1-3, right? It's going to be so difficult to come back in the group. You start having to hope for, you know, teams just kind of losing week to week that can help you get to that third seed. So all the other 3 teams, you're like, can they all just lose and I just win? That's basically what you want. So you want to put it in your hands. And Vancouver, with this win, they're able to put stuff in their hands, give themselves a shot because of this win. Whereas Scorch losing, now they're betting on everybody else losing from week 5 and on, and they of course got to win. You know, so it's a very very tight group there for that third spot, which has been fun for Group A. So let's go ahead and kind of scroll in a little bit here, and yeah, you can see. I mean, that's a pretty significant gold lead here, even at 20 minutes. Up 7K, they're turning on to the Otacon. They got 3 Drakes. And we were just talking about it when we were looking at the draft, right, guys? Like, you need the team to not be so far behind if you want to stay in this game. This is the type of gold lead that's super hard to come back from, especially when you are the scaling comp. You got the Sivir, you got the Mundo. You're trying to scale up with this Melio, setting up the damage here, or buffing up the damage, I should say, from the Sivir. On the other side of things, you're looking at it, you're like, this Ashe, huge, right? This Fiora is pretty big, and you have to try to get through these champions. That's not easy for Sivir to just hit when you've got a Xin Zhao, Fiora, Galio diving on your head. It's very, very hard. And then Ashe can deal with the front line pretty well. Even though Mundo is immune to CC, he's not immune to slows. Or I should say he's immune to hard control. But he's not hard crowd control, but he's not immune to the slow. So the Mundo kind of just, what does he do? I mean, he can walk at her and walk at her and walk at her as long as she's spacing and kiting properly. The Mundo will be a non-factor to get to her. So it's kind of what we're talking about in the draft, right? Let's kind of scroll over and kind of see what happened here. Excuse me. Towards the end of the game. I have four Drakes, man. Ocean Soul too. That's so gross. It's just so hard to play through. This looks like this might be the ending push, actually. Does this game end without Baron? It just takes Soul to do so. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's Rusty. Rusty trying to stop the split push. Calico trying to stop 3. Yeah, that's kind of impossible. You lose that fight there. I realized that maybe the Nexus does just fall. And they had 3 grubs, so... And what a quick game, and Vancouver kind of looking a little bit like the Hashira, right? They're taking care of business. They're knocking out, which I still think is a pretty solid team in Scorch in a very fast fashion here in Game 1. So very impressive from them. Let's go ahead and jump into Game 2 here and kind of again, we'll look at the draft here. We'll discuss that a little bit here before we get into Game 2. So looking at it from both sides, right off the bat, I actually like Scorch's comp a lot. I think Wukong, really good champion still. Syndra, good scaling. But wait a second. Oh, that's Syndra bot. That's why. Okay, my brain had a short wire. I could tell that's Syndra bot. So it's Boonshore with Syndra. This is actually the one part where I don't know if I love the comp now. Actually, I might take what I said. I like the comp mostly because I like Wukong. I like Syndra. I do think Karma enables the Wukong pretty well. Maybe I'd like to see a Lulu if possible, but I'm cool with Karma. Definitely good for Olaf. With that said, I don't love Diana as much. It's pretty hard to play into them as the Diana. There's a lot of stuff to deal with her. Keep her out of the fights. Lee Sin can kick her away. Tilia with her rocks. Yeah, Braum is actually a great disengaging tool. And then Mordekaiser can just say, come here, you're going to the Death Realm. So the Diana is kind of hard to play here. I think you prefer to also have some more range if possible, just because you are playing into a Mordekaiser. Give him less options to take people out of the fight unless he has to flash to do so. On the other side, I think Vancouver's comp, I think it's pretty good. You have a really nice protection here for the Yunara with the Braum. I think Lee Sin is very good into Wukong, in my opinion. I know Wukong's been very strong, but if Lee Sin can kind of get in his face, get an early lead, it's very hard for the Wukong to play. Talia, I think, provides a lot of value here. Every champion here, with the exception of Wukong, has no dash in terms of getting on the other side of Weaver's Wall, right? Which is actually good. So you can zone people out of objectives and kind of get them for free, with the exception of Wukong kind of getting in there and maybe stealing it. But the point is, that's all you got to worry about. Technically, Diana can dash too. I get that, guys, but she has to have certain range for that. She can't just jump over the wall unless she has something to jump to. Um, so that's pretty good. The other part of it is the dashes that do exist, she negates super well, right? We just talked about the Diana. Diana can never land a Q and think it's safe to just dash in, right? She has to always play around the rocks. Similarly for Wukong, he has to play around that. But because it's mostly low in mobility, you also find more value within knockup from Talia. So I'm a big fan of that. And then we already kind of discussed what the Mordekaiser can do. Yeah, I guess it does kind of technically lose to Olaf, but you're not playing Mordekaiser to beat Olaf, really. Like, you're playing Mordekaiser to kill everybody else. So, big fan of, honestly, probably Vancouver's just a little more, but I don't hate Scorch's draft. I just wish I would have seen something else in the mid lane here. I think it's a bit of a risky pick. But I have heard she's been buffed up a bit and she is stronger, so I understand why maybe Scorch wanted to try her out and pull her out here in this game. And I think in games that are like, when you start to get into those games where it's like, if we don't win this, the season might fall out of our hands, which we discussed in the previous game with how the playoffs kind of work for both these teams. I do think you start just pulling things out. If Banana Sword's been practicing the Diana, just whip it out, right? You're trying to fight for playoffs at this point. There's no more getting better, really, per se. It's now just like what your team is what your team is. You can get better, but it's not gonna matter if you're not in playoffs by the time and you get better, right? If you get better by the end of the season, but you're week 5, week 6, you're just playing to play. It doesn't matter much. It could matter for next split, which is great, but next split might be 3 months away. So 2 months away, whatever. You're going to be waiting for a long time. It's going to be a whole new game at that point, right? We all know about the patches and how the new season starts. So it's definitely one of those things that I get it. I still just don't love the pick overall. But Scorch able to kind of do some stuff early game. Something Rusty's always been great at, right? He's always been really, really good at impacting his lanes early. He knows how to get advantages. Something that's really strong about his play and always has been. Uh, Sometimes though, you might be in a situation where your pick can't really enable as much, but I think overall early kind of was going well for them. Maybe some mistakes as well by Vancouver kind of helps with that. Um, oh, poor Rusty kind of just dashing, and that's what I'm talking about with the rocks, right? You got to be careful. He didn't see her, to be fair, but it is very very risky. And then you also see that she has nothing to dash to. There's nowhere to run. Even if she's able to get a single kill, how much does it actually matter? So very very difficult to play there. So we'll keep on scrolling through. We'll get towards the end of this game real quick. I mean, it is actually much tighter contested game than game one. Looks like it goes much longer too. But the Drake's advantage, man, Drakes have been so OP in my opinion. Like generally the team that has the soul just straight up wins, or the Drake advantage at least. It's not 100% nothing because gold does matter, but it gets hard, man. So Scorch, being able to apply that pressure with the Drakes, it's just unfortunate. Like maybe in a situation like this, is it good to fight over a Rift Herald? I honestly think that not really. I don't think you need the Rift Herald to play the game, right? I think if you're if you're playing for feats, which looks like that might have been what was happening here, I kind of get it. But at the same point, I think you can just play for third Drake. I think there's nothing wrong with just saying, hey, let's wait, let's get some more gold on certain champions, and we'll try to fight Drake number 3. Hopefully win that, get a big advantage. Now you just gave a bunch of gold influx into Vancouver, and you're just playing off the backside of like, man, our comp is now behind significantly. How do you play the game? And a comp that again I don't think it's easy to play. It's decisions like this that matter. With that said, they were able to acquire the third Drake, so sometimes it does go in your favor. But that's why I don't like giving that over. They were even able to get the soul. I'm actually curious. Let's watch Soul fight. Let's see what kind of happens here. Is it off the back of or maybe a rusty steel? Okay. So yeah, we do see Olaf is dead to start this fight. Man, Rusty just doing what Rusty does best. Just getting in there, making plays, stealing objectives. Kind of huge. It's kind of surprising that they don't end up winning this game somehow. I mean, because Ocean Soul like brings so much value here. I think. Um, Very interesting to be honest. But that's just League of Legends. Soul is never a guaranteed win. I know I was just saying it does seem like most of the time the team with you know the Drake advantage does seem to win the games because I do think it's a lot of value in the Drake, but it's not a guarantee. It's never a guarantee, no matter what soul you're acquiring. So yeah, this game going on for a while. Let's kind of go towards the end of the game though, so we can finish this series up, and we'll get to the next series of the group. I love how he went to an Elder fight though. I am such a big fan of that. Seeing Rusty trying to do the Rusty things again. Does he make it into the pit? He does, but they are aware of it. Oh, so unfortunate. He nearly steals it. Actually got taken there by Yanara. But yeah, once they acquire Soul, I mean, it's so hard to play. Or not Soul, but Elder. I mean, you have nearly two inhibitors down. Really nice play there by Butcher though. Nice flash. But I do think the Elder probably sets up the Baron well. Yeah, that's kind of what I was figuring. You kind of get the Elder. Baron's just a thing. You do the Baron. At that point, you could just use the Baron as a bait for a fight and win the game. It's crazy that they actually take this 4v5 and they win? Wow. That is insane, actually. That does... Wait, what? Huh. Alright, well, GG on that game, I guess. But yeah, so congratulations to Vancouver getting this win and keeping their hopes alive for the split. And again, we'll kind of see what happens in week 5, but they set themselves up nicely, right? So we'll get into the next series, which is yeah, the one that I was so excited to discuss, guys. Look, there's me. Yeah, so I'm not a top laner, but I will say I was happy with my performance as playing top lane here. But Brandino was like, "I'm gonna hand check you," and fair enough. I if I knew top lane matchups, I would have gladly taken on the challenge. I'm not really familiar as much with the matchup, so I don't really feel comfortable trying to play those shades, man. But he played excellent. I do think I played well enough though to keep him from getting too big in most of the games. But this game one was an absolute banger. It was a 42-minute game, very very long, hard-fought game between both teams. Um, Zemo really had a nice performance here on the Aurora. Kind of expected from him though. They kind of just always does. This is one of his best champs. This split. Mono played well here on the Sivir. Sivir's been a champion. I've discussed again. He's been really good. Tends to win their games. One Punch having a really nice game as well, going 9-5 and 17 on the Volibear. We've talked about his pool a bit, and I think when we discussed it in week 3, we were kind of worried how's that going to look for small brains, and I think this rears its ugly head here in this series, but not specifically in this game. He does get one of his champions. Coin flip on the side for them. Their early game wasn't actually that bad here. There were some mistakes though that did allow the bot side of the map to get a bit ahead, which became an issue. The Sylas though, Aristotle pulling up the Sylas here, tried to say like they picked Malphite, we picked Sylas. That's never a guaranteed win on that, and I had a lot of fun playing into the Sylas. He got me early, man. When he came up top, he got me early. So we'll jump into the game a bit. But I think I definitely made him. I definitely made him work. We're way too far ahead. We don't necessarily have to watch. We can kind of watch what happened here early on the bot side of the map. So actually, I think this even started with an invade. I can't remember. Did we invade? No, we did not invade earlier. I thought we did. We did not. But yeah, I mean, early on in this game, they're kind of beginning to punish Silas. I think Volibear is really, really good in the Silas as far as jungle matchups go. The Silas does heal, but he can't out heal the Volibear W. And I think Volibear has better better sustained damage over a long fight. Yeah, this is the one time I fucked up, guys. I tried to flash and run down this way because I really thought I could live. I truly thought I could. I was wrong, but I got a flash out of the Aurelia at least, so that's big, right? um, and dirty enter that I am, guys. Fire me. I'm so bad. But yeah, the early game was in favor of small brains, like I said. It was mostly the bots of the map. I was pretty much a non-factor early on. I didn't really get to do as much. Brandino was just kind of doing his thing. Aurelia is not easy to play into. I'm gonna say that. Like, if you don't know what picks to play into, I think Malphite's fine. Like, he loses early, and then he'll just kind of outscale, get armor, become hard for Aurelia to kill, and that's what I just did. Um, but when you get to these team fights, what you're gonna see, and the biggest thing is that with Malphite Aurora, team fights are absolutely insane. I didn't really know how crazy it was gonna be, but you have two great AoE alts. You're always gonna super hard chunk the enemy team, and then it just allows a Sivir to just kind of walk in there with the Volibear, using on the hunt and just kill everybody. That's kind of how these team fights went. They were really fun to play too. Hats off to Coinflip though. I think this first game, even though they lost, they certainly could have won it. Like, this could have easily been a 2-0, but it just, those games go late. A lot of things can happen. Um, but there was definitely some situations where they were able to get themselves a bit of a lead. Like, for example, here, after the initial early game, we do a scuffed fight as we're transitioning into the mid game, and they're able to acquire Drake. They're able to acquire a bit of a lead off that, right, about 2K. And then it kind of becomes um, a little bit chaotic and messy after that. I think that's what was so fun about this game. Like I said, the team fights were absolutely bangers. Let me see if I can find one for you guys, because I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun for a Malphite game, by the way. Champion underrated. Big rock things. Mm, I'm trying to see where we have. There's an actual team fight and objective. I don't remember all the spots that there were fights. Okay, so there was a fight at Baron. Alright, let's watch this. I'll kind of show this one off. By the way, Soul is terrifying, I think, for them. Like, I think Mountain Soul is not easy to play into. We don't really have a lot that kind of deals with the shields. But yeah, you can see, like, a little bit of a misstep here. But then, like, this is the beauty of what the comp wants to do. You just drop the big alt, right? And that's not really what I was looking for, to be honest. But the idea is, like, you drop that Aurora ulti and the Malphite ults in. I just don't know where it happened. I'm sorry. I don't remember. It's been a week and a half. Oh, this was actually a big steal, too. I thought this was going to go so much worse, and we end up getting the steal, which is huge. Also, I just want to point out, I'm curious, and if anybody on CoinFlip ends up watching this, why go for Senna here? I feel like, yeah, Senna can scale like the Sivir, but I feel like it's not easy for Senna to play a game like this, so I wonder why they drafted that. That's the only thing I'm curious about. I was honestly fine with the rest of the draft. Just one of those really weird things. And Bori can play anything. Don't get me wrong. Bori's great. This is not like a knock on Bori. This is more of a I don't know if I love the Senna pick from my perspective. Maybe they saw something else there that I did not see. Um, but we'll go ahead and we'll go towards the end of the game. Get the last team fight. I didn't even remember them getting Soul. That's crazy. They did get Soul. Jesus. How in the world do we win? See, we're kind of positioning here to fight over this Baron. Of course, that's like gonna be the big thing. Elder was also coming up soon. All right, here's the last team fight of the game, guys, and we'll go ahead and get into game two, so we don't gotta keep stalling this out. You guys don't gotta listen to my hideous voice. All right, Brandino, what a champ, dude! Smacking her to death. It's crazy. I feel so bad for Bori there. Like that's what I'm saying. I don't know. There's so much that can get on him. That's where I feel like there's a problem. But all right, we'll go ahead and get into game two, where things kind of fall apart for small brands. Game two here. So again, I Fiora, like, she's picked all three series here. A lot of value. That's why I'm wondering if she got buffed. We see Aurelia twice as well. Um, it could just be hand checking. Like I said, Brandino wants to play things. He knows I'm not a top laner. He feels comfortable kind of just hand checking into me, which is fair. With that said, I think the big problem, and this is kind of where it starts to rear its ugly head. This is kind of moving into what I would consider probably the B tier kind of champs for One Punch, and you can kind of see did not have a great game here on the Skarner, and I do think it gets a little worse in game three for him, unfortunately. So, um, Finn and Mono kind of got into a really trapped bot lane here, and this is where I thought they drafted so well by the side of Coin Flip. I question the Senna, but I do not question the Nyla Sedge. I think that's a great combo together. I actually like picking in the jungle when I'm playing with a Nyla in the AD carry spot because she's considered melee, so she sets up ganks extremely well for the Sejuani. Um, Another thing was Aristotle did absolutely excellent here on Amumu. I should also note, and I did not mention this, but this was Coin Flip's last week, I think, as this version of the roster, as I believe Matthias was coming back, so no longer, Brandino on the top side of the map or Aristotle in the jungle, as he'll be back mid, and Krieger is obviously going to be back to being six-man. But this unit, like, they played together before their first split here in the Midwest Sweat League, with the exception of Bori, and we're excellent team together. But yeah, I mean, you can just see the impact that Bori had with the Sedge, and I think that was like the biggest thing to me that stuck out. Of course, again, the Mumu popping off. Brandino had a nice game, and he did do a crap ton of damage, but I also think he was playing it to me, so he was slapping me a lot. He did have one solo kill on me too. I misplayed a little bit. So was not an easy game for me. But Zema on the Orianna was trying to set up plays. I think he played a pretty good Ori. Unfortunately, he's not always the champion that can kind of carry a game as hard. But yeah, the big thing to me was just really good draft here by Coin Flip. I remember like the early game going a little rough for us, and a lot of that was just due to I don't think knowing how the Sejuani plus Nyla combo works, maybe, or not expecting the damage. Let me see if I can find it. What transpired bot? Okay, here we go. So there's two. Yeah, this is actually crazy, by the way. So I'm gonna start this clip from when it first starts. So understand this is a level 5 Skarner ganking, right? And nobody else has hit level 6 just quite yet. The big thing that's gonna happen, I believe Bori hits 6 off of a kill here, but the big thing is they don't get on top of Bori, which is first off probably not the best. Like initially they don't get on top of him. Second, you see how effective they are into this gank here, right? It's two tanks trying to whittle down a Nyla who has the ability to block auto attacks, and block damage, and the fact that your Tristana is far from scaled here, right? It's not easy. It is so far from easy, and they stack the passive again for such so quickly that Tristana's in a horrible spot so fast. It was an excellent 2v3, and I think the understanding there is more just how they work together. I don't think that level was there. And this kind of started some of the game problems, and Coin Flip kind of starting to take off a bit. Um, and as the game progressed, yeah, there were some bright spots, of course, but it became more and more of an issue throughout it. The only other play that I think is like really big note for me was there was a really nice TP play where it was pretty unfortunate. I think if it's TP'd better, things go well. But the Fiora comes back and it's like three kills, 4 kills. I want to say it's a play coming up here soon, or maybe not. Yeah, so it's this one. This was a bit of a scary play here, and it did not go very well. Unfortunately, it was a really nice impale, and so I thought you thought it would be very good, but Bori just played it very excellently. Unfortunately, the Shockwave ends up missing, and man, what a nice curse to Sad Mommy there by Aristotle. Really gets to like pop off, right? And they end up getting the ace because I stuck around like a dum dum, thinking I'm dinky, I can do things, but I was very wrong. I was very wrong. And then I was like, I'm gonna defend tier two. Fuck it. I'm a sprinter, guys. I dirty sprinted. Um, but yeah, it was a really hard game. I think there was just really the draft. They drafted super well, and I remember they won the game pretty quickly. We were not set up here to contest the soul, um, which was unfortunate. Or no, this was yeah. So we were actually able to contest the soul initially. I think what happened was they turned it back on us. It looked good. We were able to get some kills and just a couple mistakes. Aristotle played this great, staying alive just long enough to make sure he can get off his Curse the Set Mommy, and the zoning by Fiora was excellent. So, but I think there was the next play in here. We were just not here for the soul. We didn't get the setup, unfortunately. So, and due to that, it was so hard for us to kind of get in, um, and let the Skarner kind of find a spot. I mean, you see Sejuani just kind of zoning in. Really well played there by GeoProw. And playing through Aztec Soul is going to be so hard. So it was a fun game, but it ended pretty quickly after that. It kind of just took care of business. I can show the ending fight around here somewhere. And then we'll discuss the playoffs for both these teams. I think it's pretty obvious though for coin flip, right? I don't think I have to talk too much about them. Them winning here just kind of puts them in prime position, like I said with like Hashira. They're either 4-0 or 3-0, and I don't remember exactly, but it puts them exactly where they need to be to make the playoffs, pretty much uncontested. They would have to kind of run it down the last 3 weeks, I think, to miss the playoffs, which is kind of hard, I think, when you're playing as well as they've been playing. So, but we can discuss a little more about small brain situation after we kind of look over game three here. So game three kind of feels like uh, similar to game two. I don't think the draft was as bad in terms of like straight draft, the exception of I'm not really sure I love the Warwick here. Uh, I guess it's technically not bad into J4 or anything, and it's certainly not horrible into low mobility champions like Syndra and Mel. The problem is the Mel was a great pick. Really shut down what we wanted to do bot side of the map. It was not easy to play. It's going to be obviously pretty good into Maokai. And we just kind of got to a point where no matter what we did, it was just really hard to shut them down. I will admit I misplayed some team fights on the Poppy here in the mid game. But even with that said, it's just the comp here became a bit difficult because I think the Warwick is the biggest culprit of just like what can the Warwick really do as the game progresses. If he gets a big enough lead, it's great. But again, this is what I talked about. I don't even know if this is a big one punch Zac champ. I'm not familiar, and that kind of again reared its ugly head. It's a chample thing and something that kind of stuck out when we discussed last week, right? So he's obviously a very good Zach, a very good Ivor, and I think he plays volley very well. I will say Skarner is pretty good. Um, and then after that, maybe like the Sejuani pick would be great. But the Warwick was deep in the pool, and I'm not really sure. Not really sure of the Warwick here. So, unfortunately, did not go our way. It did end up being a much longer game than I remember. But with that said, what did Small Brains have to do? So winning this game obviously would have been big. They came into this week 1-1, I want to say. So this was like a really really big series. If they're able to get this win, right, that sets them up in a pretty good spot to where they're not forced to like win every week from there on out. But losing this put them in a situation where they are winning in more or less for the next 3 weeks. Um, and what makes it spicy? We kind of just talked about Vancouver, and I'm not going to say nothing until we get to week 5 here. But Small Brains and Vancouver had a match in week 5. I'll just say that. That's how important this win was. That maybe the week 5 doesn't matter as much if they get the win, but it could matter more if they lose, right? So this series was actually really big, even being at 1-1, right? Coin flip again. They're just setting themselves up for success no matter what. They were already undefeated. I think they were 3-0 coming into this week. I can't remember. So they were in a really really great spot, being undefeated. Overall, when I look at this game, I just think like I said, some miscues and some team fights. Um, Brandino was able to play and dominate more, I think, than any of the 3 games here, just because I did not play the matchup as well. I've seen how the match was supposed to go, but obviously without some practice, I wasn't great with the timings against the Jacks. So he was able to take a lot of turrets and really get his gold lead that way for the most part, because I felt like I had to be there with the team. Uh, I also think the J4 is a pretty good pick here. There's 5 champions without a dash. Lock them in the Cataclysm is pretty huge. Uh, the Cassiopeia had a hard time like popping off here. She had to really, really get the proper peel and setup. So it was very difficult. And like I said, Bori, he played super excellent in this game. I mean, like really, really good, and put himself in a great spot to just end up winning the game. And even though we pushed them to the 30-minute mark, it didn't. It like I said, I don't even feel that way, right? Um, and things just kind of fell apart. I think a lot of times people were just caught chasing kills, trying to get advantages that way on the side of Small Brains, and that's just not how you're going to win, right? So, but I will show the end of the game, and then we'll get into the next one. I will say I think Small Brains did play well enough to stay in the series. They played well against Coin Flip, but in the end, you get down 5, 6, 7K, it's going to become very difficult to play, um, and that's kind of what happened. Let's see. The This is the ending team fight, I believe. Tempered Fate on blue buff. Interesting. I don't know what happened. I don't really feel like clicking back, but that is funny. So, yeah, they just kind of force onto the Warwick. You see how difficult it is for Warwick to play. And the Jax is just so big. There's just really nothing that can deal with the Jax. Just absolutely massive. And maybe I might have misplayed that too. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I think he had the miasma on there. I didn't really consider that. Cassiopeia's E isn't blocked by the Jax's E. Bit of a mistake, but I think the game was going to be hard nonetheless to win, right? So, did what we could. But yeah, GG's and hats off to Coin Flip getting the win. So far, they've bested us twice. Revenge one day. One day. So now we'll get into Group B. So, caveat here, Ninja Turtles for Team Ghost did not happen. We, Ghost did decide to leave the league, unfortunately so. So, free victory there for Ninja Turtles. But we do have a series to talk about, and that's Femboy Jellyfish versus Free to Play 2.0. We've kind of discussed Free to Play. Like I said, I kind of feel like they've had a bit of an unlucky split in some situations. Here they get the unlucky draw of Femboy Jellyfish this week, and as you see, Femboy kind of took care of business. Dippy back in the saddle here. Noah in the jungle. So Terrace must have been out for this week. Dippy having a nice performance here, 5-1-14. Noah going 9-3-13. Can we discuss Noah being like a sixth man of the year? Is that a thing? Can we have that award, man? Because the 2 weeks I've seen him play, he's played excellent. And Viego doing well. I guess I should stop hating on Viego. I'm not going to. Honestly, I'm never going to be a fan of the champ just because it wins. I think every champ can win. But here we go. And then we got Higgins here on the pike, doing his hook thing. He loves his hook champions, man. Rika picking up with the Annie. I think that's the proper thing to do. And he's one of those champions that's very, very good right now. So I'm glad he's putting that a bit more in the pool. 5-0-18, very nice game from him. And then, of course, Angel Boy, a.k.a. Mac, with a Ziggs game. But they had enough AD, so they could obviously get away with the Ziggs. Something I've seen him play a couple times, and he definitely likes. Free to play here. They're able to. I think they have a pretty good draft, honestly. They have it set up here nicely for the Jinx. Unfortunately, though, Gunman just does not have the greatest game. I do think it's hard for Jinx to play. Very low immobile champion here against stuff like Mbessa and Pike, and even Ziggs Annie could be not easy to deal with. So I think it was really, really well drafted here by Femboy Jellyfish here. The saving grace really was Chuck Hunter trying to do his best here on the Mel, but even then, I think she's also pretty low range here. Doesn't get to play the game for free. So I think Femboy with a really, really nice draft. And we'll go ahead. Where is the game, guys? Where? There it is. We'll go ahead and we'll peek here. At game 1 here. So yeah, free to play again. They had a really, really nice week against Coin Flip. So I was thinking to myself, like, if this should be a pretty fun matchup between these two teams. But I also know that sometimes series are matchup dependent, and I think this might have been one of those situations. With that said, I will say I think Femboys does play faster paced games, and I think Instinct plays slower paced games. So that could maybe be what it is. Maybe free to play is better at a slower paced style. But yeah, looking here at the game, we'll kind of scroll through a bit, and then we'll kind of discuss the playoff implications for these two teams. Kind of see what happens. Maybe trying to find like a fight we can watch while I do that. There's got to be a fight somewhere. Yes, Otacon. Otacon always has a fight. So, as far as free to play, I want to say they hadn't picked up a win quite yet. So they're on an uphill climb here coming into week 4. They definitely need to start getting the wins to really have a chance at a spot in the group. Or maybe they might have had one win. I cannot remember for sure. But nonetheless, they were definitely an uphill climb, right? So this game was very important for them. Their road to the playoffs is much more difficult coming into this week. Whereas Femboy Jellyfish, they're sitting comfortably at the top of the group. They don't really need to do as not at the top, but towards the top of the group, right? They only lost one game or one series to to Instinct. My brain, guys. We just talked about Coin Flip. Yeah, they just lost one series to Instinct, so they kind of, I think, were always a favorite in this group nonetheless to be at the top. We kind of discussed that coming in, and so as long as they're able to get this win, I think they were setting themselves up nicely to not have too many issues going into week 5. The back half of the season there, but yeah, free to play definitely had an uphill climb. They gotta get some wins under their belt to even compete. The third spot right now at this point is controlled by Ninja Turds, who of course sadly do get the free win over Ghost. Kind of sucks. I know it feels bad, but it technically counts, and everybody technically gets that win. But the fact that nobody gets a loss to Ghost, which could happen, is pretty big too, right? So unfortunately, Ninja Turds being able to get that win, even if it's free, nonetheless, is going to make it much harder for free to play to compete for that 3rd seed. But you do what you got to do. You just kind of play it through. And unfortunately, so as you kind of see the Otacon, you kind of just see these fights it was very, very much, in my opinion, looking at it, hard for them to play, like I said, because of the jinx. How do you play, right? Best case scenario, well, I gotta go see the ending fight here. Best case scenario, you can maybe get a nice Malphite ulti, right? And that allows you to really set it up. But look at this, like, huge thing from Marika here. He actually builds the Verdant barrier. I think it's smart. One less target for Malphite to jump on. You know, uh, how do you then get in there? So the follow up is the Jinzao Leona or one of them engaging possibly. But again, you can't just jump on the Annie. It's not free, and she has tons of burst. A beautiful ult here from Dippy. Not surprised. Leona trying to get in there. Xcuddy doing what he can, but you just see Dippy just running rampant on the back line, doing absolutely anything he wants. And your Malphite just not even there, unfortunately so. And it's going to cost you the game. But yeah, nice win here by Femboy Jellyfish. Never surprised, always impressed. Great players on this team. Let's look at game number 2. So game number 2 here. Another one where it kind of feels like a bit of an uphill battle when I'm looking at these comps. Terrace did come back in, so it was just a single sub for a game. Gotcha. All right. Terrace does come back in, picking up the Vi, something Terrace likes to play. I do think Vi into Ivern is actually pretty difficult because of just naturally how both champions work. So I think it's a pretty smart snag. Like, of course, in a 1v1, Ivern's going to get his butt kicked, but in terms of team fighting, I think Ivern does great. You already have your engage and tankiness from your Nautilus, so I think that sets it up well for an Ivern game, and you get to buff up a champ like Xayah, which I think he is happy to do as an Ivern. And you can see Gunman having a much better game here in game 2, but it kind of just feels like when you're doing 42% of your team's damage, that might be a problem. But the draft does lack damage. Ivern, Nautilus, and Alawi. Alawi here almost has no value. I don't love the Alawi pick at all. She's into a Gnar, which is ranged, so she doesn't really get to do much for free. Then she has to deal with LeBlanc Caitlyn. I don't see how that's ever fun. You're okay into Vi. I guess you're okay into someone like Rakan. But being honest, like that sticks out to me tons. I actually think if free to play just draft something else besides this Alawi pick, they might actually win. Because the Xayah is great here. She can dodge out so much of their stuff with her Featherstorm, and she has the Ivern plus the Nautilus. Like, I think that pick is great. And in theory, LeBlanc shouldn't even be able to play this game for free. Orianna Nautilus, that is not easy to deal with, especially with the telegraphed W that LeBlanc has. If she's not hiding over a wall and she's in front of you, Nautilus can always hook her out of that, and you can CC layer her very well if you want to. I've actually played the matchup support, funny enough. Nautilus and LeBlanc. LeBlanc can't play into Nautilus in terms of playing into support, at least. I think mid it's a little different, but even with that said, if you see her flanks, her W is so telegraphed, and there's a bit of time. If you hook on time, it's kind of almost predictive. She can just get completely dealt with. But again, they're coming into the Xayah. Xayah loves that, man. And in theory, guess so does Alawi, but she gets poked. By the time they come into her, she's already freaking half dead, if not already dead. So I'm just not a big fan. And she wants to split push, and I don't think she can split push free against someone like Gnar. So that's kind of my take on the draft here. And I'm not gonna lie, guys, I'm getting a little tired here. I'm only gonna have a short break before CLT comes in, so we're gonna finish up this game pretty quickly and get into the last series. What we're gonna do, we're gonna jump on over. Also, the game was pretty close early, or not early, but the game was pretty close. Being down 4K isn't that bad with the Ivern comp. Do they do a full Otacon fight? Otacon is off the map. Let's see the Otacon fight. I'll peek at 2 fights before I get to the next one. We'll kind of let this play through. Oof, what a nice trap. So hard to play. I mean, look at the flank setup here from Marika too. Well done. The engage, well executed, man. It's just a massacre. Beautifully played here by the side of Femboy Jellyfish. Even though Gunman is doing whatever he can to try to turn it back, it's not easy, man. And that's what I'm concerned with too. Alawi she wants to split anyway. She doesn't really want to be at the fights. So let's scroll towards the end game here, see kind of what happens. We do see 2 dead. Let's go a little further back. Oh yeah, just Erika picking people off. Beautiful change there. Make sure to set up the kill, and they're able to get 2. Yeah, of course, like I said, Nautilus isn't bad, but at this part of the game, when the Nautilus is going to be pretty squishy, overall, like he's not that tanky, and LeBlanc is pretty big. Just gonna one pop him. Unless you cancel W. Let's see. Looks like there's one little fight here at Baron. Let's watch that. Even where's the speed up? Oh no, they're gonna come here in a second. So you're gonna see they're gonna start up the Baron here, guys, and we'll kind of let this play through a bit before getting into the final series of Week 4, and then getting on to Week 5, which should be very, very exciting. Beautiful Dredgeland to start the fight, but unfortunately that is on the Gnar, so it doesn't matter as much. Fight goes kind of okay early, but it's just now Gunman is in a war by himself, and you have Erika split pushing, so Czech has to leave. What a nice quadra kill here out of Mac. He's had so many quadra kills this split. And then it's just Erika versus Czech Hunter, and it's so hard. Yeah, really just a well-played series here by Femboy Jellyfish once again. Week by week. Again, always playing top-notch games. Alright, last series of the week, and this is a team I've been starting to get to know a little more, and I've really been liking. I got no pictures of nothing. This is great. This is Saboro. Don't mind this. That's just irrelevant. I don't know why that says Frogger Style still. That's kind of funny. I didn't notice that until now. But yeah, Saboro here versus Team 3. Team 3, they've been honestly playing pretty well this split, but Saboro's been looking like a team, man. I've really been liking them. They were able to pick up the victory over not a full victory, but one match win over Instinct, right? So to me, they were sitting themselves in a pretty good spot. But let's go ahead and jump into this draft at least. Kind of discuss draft since we don't have any stats to really look over. I want to see the full draft. Here we go. Okay. So Team 3 going with the Wukong. I love it. Big fan. Aphelios, honestly, it's not that bad. It's not easy for Aphelios to play here, though. He's into a Ziggs plus a Thresh bot. That is very hard to play into. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Nexus. I think this is Nexus that did this one. But yeah, really just like hard to play there for the Aphelios. Lee Sin into Wukong, we discussed this. I think that's a smart pick there. Camille into Olaf. Not really familiar with the matchup as much, but I could see where maybe Camille could be a bit annoying for Olaf, but at the same point, if Olaf ever lands an axe and the E is down, he just runs at her and runs her down. Something like Phase Rush, I could see in that matchup working well. And then Galio into the Orianna. Orianna Wukong combo is actually really nice. The matchup into the Galio doesn't matter as much, but that is pretty gross. If you're able to get onto the back line, if you're able to get under the Ziggs, you could make his life really hard. And I think that's what you really want to see and want to do. And you want to hope the Aphelios Morgana can kite back well. But that's also hard for them, right? So it's kind of both teams want to do the same thing. Get onto the back line, one-shot the back line. But I do think it favors Saboro a bit. Because if they one-shot Aphelios, I think I'm going to take Lee Sin, Camille, Galio into like Olaf, Wukong, Ori over the other side here. So that is it's pretty hard for them. Let's go ahead and get into the game a bit here. I like how I get in. The first thing I see is Lee Sin whiffing a Q. No siree, Bob. Luckily, it works out because he's got his trusty Galio coming to help him. Um, Lee Sin though, he able to get the first blood, which is really really big. That's exactly how Lee Sin wants to play, and that's what I was talking about with the matchup earlier. I think you want to invade, right? You want to get into the face of the Wukong. You want to make his life hard. Lee Sin should win into Wukong early. Um, and then as the game progresses, Lee Sin does get outscaled, but it's not significant enough to be like he can't play the game. So really, really well played here. And Terry Kim, I talked about him. I know he had a couple of bad games out there, but Terry Kim's been a guy, man. That guy, I don't mess with that guy. He's been fun to watch, man. Um, Been a really good top laner to see play the game. I crack myself up sometimes. Um, but yeah, let's kind of discuss the playoffs here for both these teams. So Team 3, they had at least one win. I want to say they were 1-2 or 1-1 coming into this week. So this was going to be a really big game for them. It was kind of similar situation for Saboro. So kind of whoever wins this was lining themselves up for a setup to challenge Ninja Turts for that third spot. I don't know if both teams have played Ninja Turtles quite yet. I can't remember, and whatnot. But that's kind of that situation, right? So if either team loses, again, it becomes very difficult to make the playoffs. We kind of talked about Group A in that situation, right? Group B, it's kind of the same thing. You then are going to start counting on teams to lose, right? And that's not what you want. You don't want to be hoping for teams to lose to get you back into the playoff race. You want to have the setup for yourself to control your own destiny, to line yourself up for victory, and obviously that's not what happens here if you lose. So Team T3 kind of in that uphill climb, especially after losing this series. Whereas Saboro, it's like, hey, if we get this win, we control ourselves moving forward. And I want to say Saboro hasn't played Ninja Turtles yet. So that could be a very, very interesting and fun matchup to happen. So let's go ahead and scroll through the game a little more. Like I said, I'm getting a little gassed out, and I got a whole nother, a whole nother probably at least hour and a half of talking and doing the champ stats. It's gonna be probably a 3-hour episode. So let's go ahead and finish up this game. Oh my goodness, what happened here? 17 kills to 3 at 12 minutes. Oh, that is so rough. What was the final stat line of this game? Oh, I can't see it. Never mind. That is rough. That is definitely a pretty big victory here in Sweat. I can see just about to transpire. How quick was this game is the question. It was a quick one. Was it a sub 20 minuter? No, it was not. It was a 21-minute game. 30 kills to 5 at 20 minutes is absolutely absurd and insane. Saboro was not messing around. They took care of business, and wow. Okay. Yeah, there's not that much to talk about this game, guys. Jeez Louise. Pretty rough here for Team 3. You know, they've had a lot of decent games earlier on, but this is kind of one of those that's going to make it really hard for you. You don't want to play week in and week out after a loss like this. So let's go ahead and I keep doing this, but let's jump into game 2. Jeez Louise, that is so rough. Saboro looking excellent. Might have to move up the power rankings off of that type of win. Jeez Louise. Let's see what is the final draft. We'll kind of discuss draft. We're going to show the ending of the game, I think, guys, and then we're going to finish up week 4 and then bring in CLT for week 5, and we'll get into the week 5 matchups. I am going to put a disclaimer out there, though, for week 5. We don't have all the series uploaded, so we're actually not going to have all of them to discuss, but we wanted to get this out to you guys as soon as possible, so due to time constraints. They will be up on the YouTube, though, and we will discuss those 2 series when we get there for week 5. But let's finish up this one. So how do I feel about draft here? Let's pause it real quick. So Team 3, they're going with a pretty front-to-back comp. I think the Jinx has a pretty nice setup here with the Shen Milio to kind of keep her safe. I actually love Team 3's comp. On the other side, Saburo going with a bit of a jump on the Jinx comp, right? And a bit of a pick potential with Blitzcrank. I think Blitzcrank's one of the better supports you can pick in Emilio. Emilio's ulti doesn't matter as much in that circumstance. But, with that said, Jinx is immobile as well. So the Blitzcrank has a lot of value here. Doesn't do as well in the Mel. That could end Blitzcrank's life if he hooks Mel and she has Reflect on. But I do like Sabora's comp a bit. Aurelia popping up again. Yeah, the Four Horsemen sisters they've been just all over this league this year, especially this week. But yeah, I honestly think Team 3's comp is slightly better in theory, right? With the exception of the Blitzcrank existing. But if you can get past that and you get past that early game, man, you're going to scale so well. It's going to be so nice for Team 3 to play the game. And Saburo is just going to get kited to death. Also, Jinzao, great at creating space here. Let's kind of jump in a bit. And hopefully this game wasn't as rough for Team 3. It is looking a lot closer overall. Just kind of clipping through. You kind of see some of the value of the comp right there. But the Jinx not being fed here is like the problem. The Draven's fed, right? And Draven's going to be good in the Jinx regardless. So you're just trying to get through the early lane phase. But when you have this Draven, this big man, I don't really know how you play. Alright, well, let me get to the end of the game. So at least this game goes past 21 minutes. That's a positive. Yeah, so they got Soul early on in the game. It just sucks, man. Like, how do you play? TP coming in here. Terry Kim just shows a beautiful usage of the ult. He gets a slow. The Draven, so much damage. And that's going to be all she wrote. So, yeah, Saburo, and then it looks great. Setting themselves up for success for the split. Been one of the new teams that I've enjoyed watching out of the couple that we have. But yeah, guys, so I'm going to bring in CLT here in a second, and then we'll kind of discuss the week 5. I'll go ahead and click over, and we're going to get in there. So with all that being said, I guess we'll really start with the real question, and that is where I will bring in our friend CLT. He has finally come back from the grave. So no longer do you have to listen to me rattle on for the next hour and a half. He'll be here too now. So,
CLT, they get to listen to me rattle.
Yes, they get to listen to you rattle. CLT, how you feeling, man? How's your day going?
I got the shit kicked in me at work, but I can't complain. Makes time go by faster.
Very true, very true. Well, with that said, I know you got to be excited to talk about this series because you got to play last week. We did talk, or I shouldn't say last week, but in this episode, we did discuss Week 4's matchup where you also played subbing for Hashira. You didn't get to discuss that, which kind of sucks, but you at least get to discuss this one. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into Scorch versus Capachungas Deluxe. So here's some caveats for Capachungas. I guess the team may or may not be leaving. That is for the rest of the split. We are not sure. For now, they had 4 subs, so really weird situation.
I got a touch of context.
Okay, he'll have a touch of context. I mean, I don't know if you want to reveal that here or not, but before you do any of that, I'll finish kind of touching on a few things here. So that's one caveat. The other caveat is some of those subs are people like our friend here, CLT. I think Minus also subbed, Alves, and who's the other person?
Lyvern. He is someone who just recently joined the server.
Awesome.
And he hit me up for Rec League when we started advertising Sweat League, and I just said, hey, keep an eye out. You'll probably see requests for subs. And when I posted, he hit me up.
Perfect. So there you go. As you can see, guys, I'm gonna click on this. There's again nothing under here. I don't know, something with Scorch this split. Their stuff has not been uploading properly. It's actually been a Scorch issue. It's been really weird. But there's no pictures there. So here's this funny thing. I gotta go over here to week 6. I discovered from CLT that all the screenshots are here, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and click here on the game 1. Last caveat: this game is not on the YouTube yet, so there's nothing for us to watch. So this is kind of like the old days for us, where we didn't have things up there. That's okay. Like I said, we were missing 2 series. This is one of them. We will have them uploaded. CLT will have them uploaded, I'm sure, in the next couple days. So,
Yes.
um, do you want to discuss the information about Capuchungas? Do you not want to discuss it? Uh,
So I don't have like the most amount of details. But Campbell basically was not getting responses from his teammates. I didn't really ask him why. He just said, "Look, what do I do? Because I really want to play." And I double checked with him. I'm like, "Do you want to play? Because I'll move some mountains and make this work." Just because I'm itching to play, and well, B, it's Scorch. Let's just be honest.
okay.
I have nothing but the utmost respect for Scorch, Rusty, Banana, Boonstra, Calico, Aries. They've been nothing but nice to me. I got to play some flex with them a couple splits ago, and they're really really good people.
Yeah.
In and out of the game. So,
Well,
I always get a burr to kind of play against them. So I just put some feelers out. We got one of the OG goats minus coming in, and you see the lineup.
yeah. Hopefully we can get we can do that maybe for the last 2 weeks. Maybe we can get some more subbing in and let Campbell continue to play. Obviously, that's going to be hard, but we'll see how it kind of transpires. So we don't really know the details of what's going on with the rest of the players, unfortunately. So, but at least they got to play this week, and they made Scorch Battle for a series win, which is obviously important. Kind of looking here, we can kind of see game one here. We see that the big things to note here are Banana Store having an excellent game here on the way, going 8-4-9. Rusty getting his patent Amumu. We talk a lot about Rusty. He's really good at enabling lanes, so this always has fit well with his team and specifically his play style. Um, Bot lane going with the MF Lux combo, which is not something I would expect to see. Interesting combo. Usually that's like a Lux Caitlyn. You don't really see Lux MF, but I could see it working, right? I mean, you land a binding and throw an ER, drop the full combo from MF, and you just obliterate somebody, right? I can certainly see that working out. Um, CLT, I see you opted in here for a Mel into the Hue matchup. I think we've seen that a couple times over the last 2 weeks. Um, so that's a pretty interesting matchup. Kind of curious, like, is that something that Mel likes? Is that why you're picking it, or was this Hue picked into the Mel? Like, what's going on there?
So Mel was picked first, and as much as Minus will tell you and absolutely pitch a bitch about Mage's bot lane, he actually told me something I wasn't expecting to hear, and that it was flexible bot lane. Uh, so we picked the Mel early, and they responded, I believe, with the MF Amumu, and then we went with the Jarvan, uh, and then they went with the Hue. So we had a majority of the comps showing, and I just told them, look, I can take the Mel. It's your call. And I think once they locked in the Lux, he opted for the Ezreal. Is I think how it went. It was might have been a little jumbled around, but for the most part, I left the power to Minus, and he plays a really smooth Ezreal. So he wanted it, and I just took it mid. It's a kind of just a farm lane matchup. Mel can put pressure on the Hue early, but once he starts getting points in the queue, he can wave clear much easier, and it's just overall just a farm lane.
Yeah. So with that said, I mean, obviously we don't have any clips or anything to kind of go over, but can you kind of give like maybe the fans a little bit of maybe what happened in the game or something that might have stuck out to you? Of course, when it gets uploaded, you guys will be able to see it, but something that maybe they can go watch it for that reason.
The thing that stood out, and I say this with nothing but love and respect, is I fucking hate a Mumu. Uh, Rusty went completely off, in my opinion, in this game. He was ganking from angles that specifically I myself wasn't expecting, but this build also, I think he went the bloodletters into Abyssal Mask into Leandries, and he just felt like he just one-shotted everybody, and he was the tankiest thing ever. So there was an Otacon fight that I remember we danced around, and overall I think he ended up getting the smite on that from Owls, and that kind of put the momentum back in their favor because we had a pretty solid and stable early game.
Hmm.
But once Rusty got going and just got tanky enough to ignore what we were throwing at him, he just set the tempo for all the team fights and all the skirmishes. So that is he definitely had a hell of a game there.
Yeah, he's definitely always been a player that's pretty good at getting the 50s. We're gonna have a lot of discussion about 50s this week, but yeah, I mean, 50s are definitely important. You're not gonna win them all, and that's why they're called 50s. I think no jungler on the planet can. I think you want a jungler like let's say you had 10 50s in a game, literally. Let's just say you did. You'd hope your jungler can get 5 of them. I legit, because that puts you at 50%, aka a 50, a 50-50. If your jungler is a guy that's gonna give you you know, 8 out of or not 8 out of 10, but he's gonna lose 8 out of 10 of them, so he gets only 2 of them. That's a problem. He has to work on his smiting ability, in my opinion. And that's coming from someone who certainly has lost objectives. That's why I say you're not perfect. Um, but you got to win some of them. Um, I think the worst things that are going to happen are getting things stolen from you by someone who doesn't have smite, or obviously losing all the 50s in the game. You just feel horrible. So that's my only take there. But Rusty's always been pretty good with his smite usage, and certainly being able to. We saw him steal in the previous week in week 4 in the Wukong, so not surprised in his ability there. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this game, like I said, it just sticks out. I think you guys were in an uphill battle when you're playing against his Amumu. The MF combo with the Amumu was also really, really nice. And then, Aatrox, Hwei, and Lux, they're just there to create space in different ways. And though I do think Braum is a overall good pick because you're playing into the MF. Um, if the if you can't find a way to get onto the back line with the J4 and have enough follow up damage, it kind of gets hard. And I think that's where like the Ezreal Mel can be interesting with that kind of comp. Because I feel like they're better generally playing more back. But overall, I mean, that's just at the end of the day, you're 4 people coming together to try to do your best. So drafting perfectly in that situation synergistically is just never gonna happen, right? So
Yeah, yeah. This was a showcase for Rusty, as you mentioned, and I've been now on multiple receiving ends of him smite stealing shit in my face. So
yeah,
he, yeah. But we got him back on game 2.
yeah. Well, game 2, him playing the Lee Sin, not somebody I would expect to be picking Lee Sin. Does look like the game
Bro,
was
you telling me?
does look like a game that was a bit of a barn burner. Though I think again, I think we could talk a lot about Rusty because he's just the guy like he sticks out the most on the team. He playmakes a lot. Calico and Boonstra, they just do their jobs bot lane. Bananasaur, kind of same thing mid. Ares does stick out a bunch when he's like doing his flashy stuff, but I think it's always Rusty kind of enabling the team. Like this team is not the same
Agreed.
without
Yeah.
him. I feel like him on Lee Sin, it's not a mechanical thing. I'm sure his mechanics aren't bad or anything, but it's a champion that like it gets a lead for itself, and that's what makes it super strong. And that sounds really, really funny, but every time I see him play champions that get leads for themselves that just want to be like strong, it's harder for the team to function. I just think he's so good at setting the team up and again enabling these lanes. Lee Sin can do that to a degree, but man, when you get to that mid late game, Lee Sin is not an easy champion. I'll take it from me. I'm a Lee Sin player. It is very, very hard to win mid late game situations. So if you don't just win the game by 25 minutes, good luck. You know what I mean? And in a 37-minute game, you're in the good luck point. I think the only thing he could have done differently is maybe buy a GA earlier over the Sterix because I think that's what he's going for. Just so he could just make plays and try to get onto the back line to kill either you or Minus, right, with a big kick. Probably is easier to get the Dragon than it is to get the Tristana, but either of them, right? With all that being said, Minus, unbelievable game. 15-0-6 on the Tristana obviously stands out a lot. Trist, I think, has been a very meh champion recently, but it obviously had some success here. Um, and then you obviously look like you have a nice, solid Smolder game. 3-1-6, nothing too crazy, but you're going to just go for the scaling, make it hard for them to um, be able to play for free in the late game because you're just going to have the burn and hit like a truck and one shot them with true damage at what is it, 10% HP or whatever. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's makes sense why you went for that. Um, Weird that they went with the Cyan mid though. I feel like that's just free stacks for Smolder. I mean, that's just
Uh, yeah. Well, I mean, part of being around this league and casting a lot of games was I knew that Scion was most likely going to go mid, and then they B5'd the Rise with it. So they left me R5 pick, and kind of rolled it back to a year and a half ago when AD mids were a thing.
yeah.
I was always enjoyed playing Smolder, and Stack City.
Stack City, bitch.
The funniest thing about the draft is and like I said, I have nothing but love for Scorch and kind of the wacky stuff they do in draft. When they B1 this Draven, I thought it showed some. It either showed cojones or you could lose the game like already from that kind of draft. So minus being the Tristana aficionado he was like, give me the Tristana, and he told Campbell, pick something else aggressive in lane, and we're running this over. And he, I mean, I was a backpack. Let's be honest. I was stacking and I was doing what I can to keep the game stable because Top still had a little bit of a rough time. Lyvern wanted this Lilia, and that's something that he's enjoys playing. He used to be a one trick on. He managed to drop that in the draft talk, so that was interesting. Not something we were expecting to use, but also kind of threw some tomfoolery as well,
Yeah, I think it's a
since it
unique
was
pick.
Jax. Yeah, well, it's also kind of wacky because you got the Jax jungle, so you're instantly looking at it thinking it's flopped. So Jax obviously going to have a much harder time in the Rise than say Lilia.
Yeah,
But yeah, minus 15-0-6 just went around Goomba stomping everybody. I think came out of laning phase like 5-0, and yeah, we just kind of just started running the game over from there. Their team comp was annoying to try and like totally siege on. I went for IE second, which honestly could have been RFC just because I got to smolder stacks at like 20, 21 minutes. So I could have played a little more of the RFC poke game. But once we got Baron, it was pretty good after that to siege. They don't have the most amount of wave clear.
yeah. I do think also I'm not the biggest fan of Zyra support, unless it's into like maybe like a hook champ. It's okay, I guess, into something like Poppy, but very unique pick there. I guess they're playing for just burst damage to get this Draven ahead. Makes sense, in the scheme of things. But yeah, I think that both drafts had uniqueness, and obviously could be disasters for either team in certain circumstances. Like Lee Sin into Jax is heavily Lee Sin favored like throughout the early phase of the game. Um, so stuff like that like could have been a problem if Rusty could get some good invades off and get a big lead. Like it's gonna be super hard for Jax to be relevant in the game. Stuff like that. I'm sure Rise into Lilia is just kind of a wash. I don't expect either of them killing each other early on. Um,
Actually,
yeah,
we scouted out where the Lee Sin was, and I think Al's got a 3 buff start on the Lee Sin.
yeah, stuff like that is huge. That's obviously going to be big, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, it looks like it was the minus show. So good job on
hmm
him to have himself a little bit of a game there.
Yeah.
Um,
Load the
but
Cannons minus showed up.
yeah, yeah. But let's touch on this last game here.
We can skip this one.
Oh, we can skip this one. He says, yeah. So CLT had the performance of his career here, 3-8-2 on the Oriana. No, I'm just kidding. It's not like it's that bad. It's kind of just a you see a score line like that and it doesn't look that bad. It's a 32-minute game. You're like you didn't die that much, man. Like don't even feel bad about it. The score's not horrible.
No, no, this felt personal from Rusty and Banana because I think I got an early solo kill off Banana, and then Rusty again just found angles mid, and then once Banana got to Malignance plus 2 pen items, I could not play the game. I got blown up instantly several times, but this R5 Mordekaiser, I'm gonna not go on too big of a rant, but like I feel like this champion is literally Thanos in like game 2, game 3 because there's fucking nothing to stop him.
Yeah,
Like,
he is very strong. He is definitely
I
very strong.
yeah, I Aries once he got the Leandries, I'm sorry, once he got the Rylais and the like proto belts, like what are you gonna? You can't run from this guy
Yeah.
at all.
Y-
Um,
Something I want to
it
touch
was
on because I'm seeing this again, and I've seen it, and I don't think I've seen it win. Maybe it's got to win this split, but is Jinx. I actually do not think Jinx is a bad champion. I don't think that, but what I do think is she is not set up for best of threes right now. This champion is going to be so good in best of fives. Like if you're getting Jinx game 4, game 5, I feel like you have a good chance of winning. Like Jinx is going to thrive in that environment, but in best of threes, there's still just too much for her to deal with right now. I do not like Jinx in a best of 3 unless like it's the perfect draft setup because look at this. Lucian Nami, how do you play the game as the Jinx there, man? I don't care if you have Lulu. How do you play the game? And it's so hard. Just for the bot lane itself, you know. So and with that being said, they don't have a lot to get on you guys. Like it's like a flash, Tibbers play or Ares flashing in to get somebody out of the fight. Like you guys are actually the aggressors here, which is interesting to enable the Jinx, and it actually in theory should work. But I can tell bot lane probably did not go in your guys' favor early. I'm gonna assume, yeah.
Campbell was roaming around the map trying to make stuff happen, especially around the grub fight. But Ares got to the point where you did not want to be on the same screen, and then Rusty was allowed to focus the other two lanes, got Banana ahead. Boonstra and Calico were creating leads off of Campbell's roam. Like they definitely felt like they hit their stride as a full team and meshed on and fired on all cylinders this game. So also shout out Boonstra for tilting minus in the loading screen with the exhaust Lucian. That was kind of something we weren't expecting to see.
Mm,
And
criminal there.
yeah, it. I mean, I just I like Jinx, and I don't mind our comp, but once Ares got off the ground, there's so much stuff that we go into, and then when Ares becomes the aggressor with like the proto belt, it's a 1v1. We can't really focus him down as a team.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
and you guys had range for him though. I will say that. Like you guys could kite him out. I do think if you guys get a good lead early or even just like keep the game even, I think your comp will eventually win. That I do think. But it's just hard for
I
Jinx right now. It's my opinion. I just think Jinx is just
I
in a bad spot for the first 3 games.
I respectfully disagree because I think anytime Aurora or Wukong or even Ori for that matter like get close, you're threatened by Ares. There's no like this Mordekaiser has unlimited range with Proto Belt because if it's not Proto Belt, it's Flash. Like he's guaranteed to get on you, and there's really no like line in the sand that we can draw for this comp. But then we also drafted to be the aggressors with the Ori, Wukong, Aurora combo. So overall, I think we definitely got draft diffed a little bit here.
I don't
Um,
know. I mean, you
but
can you
yeah,
can say that, but the reality is this: like, you don't have to, regardless of proto belt, you don't really ever have to get that close to the Mordekaiser. That's the thing. Jinx Rockets and W outrange him. Traps do too, for that matter. Sure, he can proto belt, but again, like if you have a Lulu just nearby the team, polymorph him. He can't ulti. He just gets polymorphed when he's trying to ult. You can cancel his ult. So in theory, he just kind of should have a hard game, especially if you guys get to that point in the game where you can play. And you guys were about there, but clearly the gold lead was probably pretty big at that point. I mean, looking at it right now, it's 65K to 48K. I'm sure once you hit the 30 mark, it was still something similar. We can say 63 to 46 or something, right? Like, it was a big gold lead. It's so hard to play at that point. But if you guys kept it close and Mordekaiser isn't one-shotting anybody on the team by just looking at them, I think it's fine. You're going to be able to outplay him and should kind him out pretty well in most circumstances. Like, Lulu is a neutralizer here for something like Mordekaiser. Um, I guess you could Black Shield the Mordekaiser to avoid the polymorph, but I don't really anticipate that's the focus of Rusty here. He probably wants to protect the backline here from the Wukong slash Oriana setup, or maybe even the Aurora getting in for a nice flank. So in theory, that's how I see the comp going. I really just, even with Protobelt, don't see Mordekaiser being a major issue if you're just not behind. But you guys are so far behind. Your poke on him probably barely matters in this game. Like he probably get tickled. You need the Mordekaiser to get poked hard and be like and question stepping up, right? He doesn't have to worry about that here. Like he just walks at you guys. So that's why I say even game state would matter for your team comp. Does that kind of like make more sense?
Uh, I I mean I see what you're saying, but I still I'm not fully committed to that thought. I just don't like Mordekaiser just answers so many like front to back team comps, especially if you try to play like enchanters.
Yeah. Also,
Um,
I've played Wukong and a Mordekaiser, and you can cancel the Mordekaiser ulti with your ulti, and then just go into W. There's a very short window. He has to ult you as you're Eing, basically. If he ults you as you're Eing, that's fine. But like, that's another thing too. Like, this is not a free game for Mordekaiser to play. Like, it's like it just depends on if you get ahead, and they did. And I'm sure Annie was a part of that problem because I can see Annie being an issue for your comp a little bit. Um, and then Lucian is just Lucian things. But yeah, I
mm,
mean, congrats to Scorch. I mean, this was an important win for them. I know this keeps them in the playoff race. We'll have to kind of look at that a little more here in a few. But yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll move on to the next series, which was Hidden Leaf versus Insane Banana Posse, who also have us some screenshots. But we actually have a game that we can kind of scroll through as well.
mhm. It is up on the YouTube.
All right, so Guillaume, another solid game. I talked about him a little bit for week 4, and Akaza, man, this guy has been insane. Is Deborah Morgan the same person, by the way? They keep name changing.
Say
I
it again.
Is Deborah Morgan? Do we know if that's a sub or not? Do we have any idea? Like I can't confirm because this team likes to
Uh,
name change. I mean, way too much.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Listen, if
Did not catch
uh,
that.
listen, Hashra, if you're watching this, this is very important, and this is for really all teams, guys. Can we try not to do the name changes until after the splits? Because the amount of times we get confused trying to figure it out, and I would like to be able to talk about the player and know it's them, so I can also give like feedback for like the people watching. Because I right now I don't know. I have no clue if this is the same person, which was Ira Stark was the name at the time, right? I have no clue. You might have changed it, and now your name is Deborah Morgan. I don't know, and it
It is a
matters.
name change.
It isn't okay. So we can
Yep,
confirm it. We got the confirmation, but
that is Arya.
it does help to know. Is all I'm saying. So maybe try not to name change as much during the split if you can. It'd be cool, honestly. Very helpful to us. After the split, do whatever the fuck you guys want. Um, but I'm just asking from a caster and showrunner standpoint here. With all that being said, but yeah, Kaz I've been talking about a lot. I talked about him in during the week 4 games. Dude, I think this guy is an MVP candidate, man. He's been playing absolutely insane all split. Now he pulls out the Kazakhs here, 13-6 and 13. And yes, Deborah Morgan, aka Ira Stark, aka whatever he was last split, 16-6 and 14. Obviously, is in the same game too. But and Akaza is a lot of these performances. Has looked really good and has been enabling his team on another level. Um, Going on to the other side of things, Ghost Tiger, another great performance from him. I mean, 12 deaths isn't great, but I mean, 14 kills is 14, 12, and 4. It looks like he did some work. Um, War pulling out. War always pulling out the fucking Urgot no matter where he's at.
Come on, does
Urg,
this really surprise you?
no, Urgot Jung. Urgot Nautilus every split. Every split.
Yep, he's played it in 4 different roles now.
Yes, so he's playing it. He's playing 80 carry next split, right?
Yes. Well, he said he would like to play AD carry, and he's already said that Nautilus will probably come out. I'm like, really? Spoiler? Okay.
Well, if you guys ever want to win on Insane Banana Posse, get your top laner back on the top lane, man. Jeez Louise, this guy. He's done the five.
It's
He's got
it's
the five roles of like gaming or something. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a funny term, but the the five roles of the death realm. That's this guy. But yeah, man. Something very interesting that sticks out, of course. Um, you can kind of give your input here. I'm gonna start playing some stuff.
Um, yeah, I think I originally caught this draft, but I did not catch much of the game. Um, Insane Banana has always kind of unique drafts, especially with their mid and top side of the map. The one thing that doesn't change is Crackler and Thresh always seem to play some form of a hyperscaler plus enchanter. I don't know why we're still giving Thresh all day to Seraphine. I think he's easily the best Seraphine support in the league, and it just always, always ends up having high impact ults. I can only assume that it's the same within this game. The Kha'Zix to me really stood out for Hashira. Um, it just feels a little off theme with what they had, but it's also kind of an interesting wrinkle because you really, really have to worry about this Kha'Zix, and then you have stuff like Caitlyn and Xerath coming over the top. So it turns this into from a poke comp to like a poke comp with some really threatening pick potential in it.
Yeah.
So I would kind of like to see how this game goes. I'm at like the 12-minute mark, and I see he's got already 4 kills and an early Ghost Blade.
Yeah, I mean, Kha'Zix is a very versatile jungler. If he's able to get leads, he can be a problem. I have no idea what it would look like into Urgot, but I'm assuming he was doing just fine into the Urgot based on the score lines here at like around the 12-minute mark you're talking about. Um, plus,
Am I seeing
Urgot can
what
get
the?
on him, but I think in my head, I think he can kite him out for the most part. As long as he dodges out the E, it's not easy for Urgot to really like stick to the guy. So.
I don't. What is this? I've seen serrated Dirk on this Urgot. What
I don't
the
know.
hell?
War's
He
doing
went
things.
Ghost Blade as well. What the? Ghost Blade and the Black Cleaver. Black Cleaver when only Bard has an armor item. Okay. Um, I'm I'm very questioning on the build. I guess it gives you mobility, but this Urgot loves to be like a solo frontliner with stuff like Zeri, Mel, and Seraphine behind helping it out, but you're not frontlining that much if you're starting the spec and the bruiser items second.
Yeah, I could tell you're clearly lost for words.
I just don't I don't like it. I'll just come out and say it without dancing around it now. I really don't like it.
Yeah,
I
it
think you
is.
need to go bruiser like Sterix maybe second just to try and create so much time
Yeah,
for your team.
I can see that. But yeah, I mean, scrolling through the game, they had a 7K goal lead here on the side of the Hashra here by the 16-minute mark. They end up giving up the Drake here at about 17 minutes, which does hurt a little bit because it stops your stacking, but I don't think it hurts enough to matter that much. It's just a bit of a stalling Drake. I've talked a lot about this, how the Drakes have been like really impactful. We actually saw a team lose with Soul in the week 4 matchups. But for the most part, anybody who's got the Drake lead or is able to get the soul, I feel like they just win so many games right now. Like Drakes feel very, very strong. Of all the objectives in the game, I think they're the strongest in my opinion. I do think they're stronger than even Otacon. Otacon is not weak, but it's not what it was like pre adjustment or rework of it, whatever you want to call it, between the splits of this season. So Baron's good. Obviously, it's an end game thing. It's always going to be an end game thing. It doesn't really feel broken. It feels proper. But Drake's, man, I don't know. They seem pretty strong, and I feel like you cannot give up the first two Drakes for free. Not anymore, at least, unless you have a massive gold lead.
I think it's very Drake dependent.
Yeah, it is. And so I'm curious if Riot's going to look into changes here after the season because of that. I mean, that's just my perspective, though. I could be completely wrong. But even when I watch pro play, it feels that way, too. So let's kind of scroll through a little more and see if we can find what happened here towards the end of the game. So it was a 29-minute game here. The game was broken up quite before that. Insane Banana Posse were able to kind of bring this into around 5K and maybe make it somewhat playable. But Actually, they actually drew it back quite a bit. They actually tied up. So now I'm a little curious. What happened here? They have themselves some nice fights because I just looked CLT and at one point the gold lead is tied. So um
This
uh
Otacon fight at 23
yeah,
minutes.
yeah, the Otacon is the thing. So I think we've discussed Otacon a little bit. I'm gonna discuss it more. So I do think it's strong. I think it would be the second strongest objective in the game, in my opinion. I don't think you should ignore it. So that means stronger than of course your Rift Arrows, stronger than your Grubs, but not stronger than Drakes. Um, it is one of those. If you do not properly take the Otacon, even with the lead, you could wreck your game. And it looks like they had back-to-back Otacon fights. But the big thing is that they acquired the Otacon on on one side, and man, what a beautiful, beautiful Mel play here from Ghost Tiger. I'm really not surprised. And then you just have Crackler kiting it out, a nice snipe by War, and all of a sudden this game is a game again. And you gotta think that part of that was just them getting poked by Otacon before the fight, right? And then not kiting it up properly. So well done there by by the side of Insane Banana Posse. I mean, they bring this game in close. What I thought was going to be a blowout based on what I was looking at, ends up being a game as it keeps going. So let's go a little more in here because I did see tied at 54K, 25 minutes. They pick off the Urgot, but then they trade the Bard's life, and Caitlyn was still dead, so they couldn't even do Baron, and that's when we end up with a tied game on gold at least. So I'm gonna assume maybe something like the Soul, or there was another Baron fight that kind of broke the game.
Yeah, looks like a pick on the war here. 25 minutes.
Yeah, I saw that. They're
26.
stacking the heck out of this bush. Meanwhile, they're getting out macroed here at 27 minutes. Their base is just getting mauled on. So they're trying to stack for the Soul, and this is what breaks the game. Actually, I think everything they've done up to this point was really good. Unfortunately, though, the Jax lost a 1v1 against the Gnar, so that kind of hurt a bit. Uh, yeah, I mean, you stopped Soul once again, but now you're down your inhibitor. That that right there is really good, and we're gonna discuss some more macro play here in a bit. But that is that is very very good macro play here from the side of the Hashira. They kind of felt the pressure. Yeah, you have a 1v1 top side of the map, but man, how impactful is that to have a situation where it's like, if we just take this mid inhibitor, this game can flip on its head completely now. Because now, guess what? They get Baron. Yeah, you lost Soul, but you get the Baron, and now you can actually push harder. You have the mid inhibitor. You get another inhib or something with this push. The game gets so hard to play, and then that gets you Soul if the game goes later on. As we know,
Mhm.
the game does end, I think, right after the Baron though, because it was a 29-minute game. But man, what a decision! That really threw off Insane Banana Posse. Because that stacked bush, man. They were death bush. They were fanatic bushing.
Yeah.
If it were,
Also, no. I'm seeing the experimental hexplate coming out for Zeri. I don't know how I feel about that. Just because I feel like you want the damage from IE with not very many people building armor.
yeah,
I feel
but
like Zeri.
I don't think that's
Zeri's.
in any way why they lost this game. I mean, they got
I,
behind early, kind of had to fight back, and then they got out macroed at the end there. I feel like it could have been a part of the reason why they lost. Maybe the game goes a little later. Maybe the game goes 4 or 5 more minutes. We get a Soul fight, and she still doesn't have IE, and they lose. Then I would think I would have a fair conversation if they lose that fight. But I mean, I get what you're saying. I just don't think it, in the context at least, it matters. But it could matter. I'll give you that.
yeah,
It
I don't like it.
it is weird. It is a weird thing. But everybody's building that right now on in the 80 carry role too. So
But like, so like, I understand if you're against a fairly dive heavy comp of where a little bit of the health and then the cooldown on the ults and the attack speed to like reposition is really really useful,
hmm
but you can't really walk into like Caitlyn Xerath and you're gonna get poked down because you're down range. So I feel like what damage you're able to put out, you want to maximize instead of trying to play this weave in and out game.
yep.
Um, so at that point, I don't I don't like it. I think you just got back into the game with Otacon. You got the Otacon, and
Yeah.
then won the team fight after that. I think you literally smash IE. You get your big spike, along with Seraphine's going to be on third item here real soon, and then it's just up to your bot lane to really carry this game with
Yeah.
support from
I, I,
War
I
and
could
Ghost.
I could see that too. I understand what you're saying. I do get it. I think it's the spike you're wanting. So maybe you go IE third and you can go there, you can experiment with Hexblade 4, but like I feel like you get more value off of that item earlier the better. So I don't know. It's
It
just
is cheaper. I
yeah.
will say that it's definitely on the cheaper
It's
side.
it's a weird conversation. And honestly, the best time is just an Ask an AD carry. Maybe Bori can indulge us in the chat and tell us if he's watching. Um but yeah, like that said, game 2 here. Uh Another victory here for the side of the Hashras. This was a 2-0. Um, Akaza, another really solid game here. Again, it's 9-4 and 17 on Jinzao. Giyu really popping off 12-5 and 14 on Olaf, which we have discussed a bunch and how we do not like the Olaf. It actually lost top lane again in another series. It can win games, all right? Like, I'm still going to hate on the champ, just like Viego. By the way, Viego won twice last in week 4, so I was hating on the Viego, but it was winning. I don't know. I still think Viego's not the best. I'm gonna keep to that stance. I'm not gonna run away from
I
it.
don't disagree.
If I see Viego become so OP or just start winning every single game he's in, literally, then we'll have a conversation. Same with the Olaf top, but a nice game nonetheless. And I think Olaf, it's picked in a spot that makes sense. It's into you're picking it with a Mordekaiser in the game. Problem is the Mordekaiser ends up going mid. So you know, interesting pickup
my
there.
my whole thing with the Olaf is you actually built like a decent comp around it. It's not Olaf plus some shit that doesn't help him out. It's you have two topside fighters in the Zinzao and the Olaf that Sivir gives a boatload of movement speed to, and then Oriana can play through either one of them.
Yeah,
So I really do like this Olaf comp. I don't know when was he picked?
not sure. But Wukong top lane.
Before.
I'm not against the Wukong top lane, but I don't think it's gonna do as well into the Olaf. The Ignite advantage is nice for early game, but if you don't get like a couple kills on this Olaf early, he's gonna become really hard to deal with. I think. Um, Crackler had a really nice game on the Kai'Sa too. I saw his 8-2 and like 8 score line. It's like something he's definitely good at. We've seen him play Kai'Sa more than once before. It's always a bright spot on this Insane Banana Posse team.
Crackler's put together quietly a really good split.
Yeah, he's done great. And then Ghost Tiger, of course. Like if there's a MVP for a team, and I was just gonna say this by the way, if we had like an MVP for a team in the losing effort, or like an award for a player that played outstanding but still didn't make playoffs and have the split, And I was thinking of someone like Rusty because Rusty's played so well this split, but they just aren't getting wins. Um,
Mm.
that'd be so cool to have that award. I bring that up though too because I also mentioned about I said some other thing for week 4 and I don't remember what I was talking about. I was like, give this guy some sort of award too. I'm just bringing up awards like we just have a bunch to give, but the point is that it'd be kind of cool, right, to have little things out there
I think
for
that's
players.
all stars. Like they've had all
Yeah,
star splits.
yeah, exactly. I guess that is a good point. All star splits, but it's something even more unique than that. Like he's definitely up there as somebody who's really stood out.
Mm.
Um, Ghost Tiger and Rusty specifically for me, and I guess Crackler kind of be in that conversation as well. With,
Yeah.
with that said, what do we think about Mordekaiser mid, man? I think that's obviously the most interesting pick of the bunch.
I I have zero idea. I haven't seen it in years, and I honestly don't know much about it. I don't have much to offer to this. I would think in the Oriana that it's just a kind of a farm lane, and then if you ever take a bad trade, Oriana can then start to gather tempo in the lane. But then maybe after like one item, Mordekaiser could probably disappear in the fog of war or be the first to rotate, give up a wave, and then you never want to walk into the Mordekaiser. So as the Oriana. So I mean, it's interesting. Um,
Yeah, I wanna point something out here. It's about 2 or it's about 3.5 minutes. There's a fight around the red buff between top laners and junglers. Uh, really well played there by One Handed Gaming. They get the kill on Akaza. And then I don't know what War was thinking to walk back towards his red buff like it was safe. And I am so depressed because we were just talking about like if this Wukong gets ahead, gets some gold, or like it's big, right? He gets a kill, and yeah, he's behind in farm regardless at the time, but he gets this kill, and it's like all right, he's got a red buff too, I think, or a blue buff or something. Like this is good for the Wukong, and then you just give this Olaf a free kill for literally no reason, man. And
Yeah.
I just I don't know. War, you let me down with that one. Just do your Krugs.
Yeah. Yeah. You probably want something back.
So
But
unfortunate.
yeah. Yeah. If I think the Hashira put together a really solid draft, as I mentioned, and then Insane Banana on the red side. Like this is an Insane Banana Posse draft. There's nothing. You don't know what you think about it until you see it in action, kind of thing. Um, so that that early game does need to go very well for Insane Banana, or it's a tough one to play out.
Yeah, I mean they drafted well too. Like Morgana into Nautilus is not an easy like lane for Nautilus. You see they made Deborah Morgan have a bit of a hard time playing the game here. Um, so that's part of that as well. I think the draft that they set up was pretty good too. I don't think either draft is like hugely better than the other. They're both playable, but it's all about execution at the end of the day. If you miss execute, that's going to be a problem. You can watch here this Drake fight at 12 and a half minutes. Um, some mistakes. Olaf gets a nice flank, and he just kills everybody with the Oriana. So it's kind of stuff like that, man. They got a full house. Ori and Olaf got a full house.
Mm-hmm. This is around the 12-minute mark.
Yeah, yeah. But this game actually does look like a bit more of the blowout we thought game one was going to be. As I'm scrolling through, I mean the gold lead just keeps growing and growing, um, and by 24 minutes it's like an 11K gold lead, and they're just marching into the base. They don't win the game on that initial push at the 24-minute mark. Some couple missteps by a couple players. They had Shelly in the base too, Shellying up. And Olaf is just doing a giant circle. He crashed into nothing. He could have hit the turret. Gio, what the heck? You could have just killed that turret for free. He's going too fast. But I assume that the game probably ends at this Baron fight here. At about 27 minutes. And it starts off pretty good for the side of Insane Banana Posse, getting the pick onto the Nautilus, chunking out the Olaf. So I'm kind of curious what actually ends up happening. Kind of a split fight, and I don't think you want that, right? I think you want your team to be playing together, and that's what causes the issue. Chasing the Olaf maybe was not right, or if you're gonna chase Olaf, chase us for and ends up getting a triple kill. I'm gonna say probably a quadra here
Oh,
for Akaza, which is huge. So does he get the penta? Does he end the game with the penta? Does one handed give it over?
good question.
Let's take a peek, shall we? Yeah, he wants it.
I'm not gonna spoil it.
Yeah, yeah, it's stolen by the Deborah Morgan. All right, you're fired, dude. That would have solidified. That would have solidified his MVP. That would have done it. Now he's gonna work harder for it. Good job, buddy. So
Yeah, it would have been the second pentakill this was so far.
I don't know if it would have been the second, but it would have been like something that after all these performances, and if he plays well against like someone like Coinflip, MVP man, MVP.
I don't disagree.
So
Like he's a very quiet player too.
yeah, they're all nice guys over there.
Oh,
Uh,
super nice. I had a blast subbing for them.
yeah, I was gonna say you got the sub for them. Well, with
Yeah,
that said, let's jump into the next series, CLT. All right, let's get her going. I don't know if you can tell, I might be speeding the process along, and a long first hour and 20 minutes by myself. So
I will defer to you on this series. I did not get a chance to watch this back, though I heard it was a banger.
yeah, yeah. So game one, um, game one was the longest one of the series. I'm trying to get this up real quick. Where is it? Here it is. Cool. All right.
Mordekaiser seems to be the theme of this week.
Yeah, dude, the theme of week 4 was Aurelia and Fiora. Like we saw Fiora in almost every single series. I don't know if she got buffed or what, but I just kept seeing her. But yeah, with all that said, yeah, Mordekaiser is a bit of a theme. The Mordekaiser here did do well too. Like he he has a kill on Vic that was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Vic is running for his life and he doesn't die to getting slapped by a mace. He just dies to the passive. I mean, I'm sure Leandre's was a part of that, but like there's just a passive burn plus the Leandre's burn. I'm like, what the hell, man? He's on the edge of it too. Like he's running and he's like barely in the circle. I was like, jeez, sad death. Um, but yeah, I mean, the thing is, and I talked about this, I think, a lot in the episode 3 about what teams can do better, and I'm gonna go back to that with the small brains thing. I brought up a lot with the champ pool for One Punch, and it reared its ugly head um in week 4, right? But here it wasn't as bad, I will say, but it still showed itself. Here he's playing the Skarner. He struggled a bit on the Skarner last week. We see him have success in week 1 on the Skarner. Here it was like in the middle. He still played it pretty well. The big thing for me was Mono looked awesome on this Ash, which is insane. Fit obviously doing his thing on a Mumu, and always never surprised by that. Zema getting the Aurora here in game 1 looks great on Aurora too. Um, so all that kind of went their way. Choros got a bit of a lead on the Tristana, or not a lead. I'm sorry. No, Choros got a bit behind on the Tristana, but like came back out of the game. I'm remembering incorrectly there for a second, and was able to kind of become a big threat and a little scary for small brains. But there was a couple huge. Oh no, no, I'm sorry. I am right. Choros did have the lead. He did have the lead. I think it was like 4-0 at one point. The Ash came back, and that was what's impressive. Mono came back in the game because he didn't really have a lot. But any way, they were able to get on Choros in a couple of these fights that just like broke the game. Because the big thing for me, and I said this live, it was 4 meatballs and a Trist. If your Trist died, I couldn't see them winning the fight. And every time Trist died or got super chunked, they lost the fight. I understand Mordekaiser and Bessa technically aren't true meatballs, but it's just because they're melee champions, you know. You're gonna get kited though, and that's what happened. They just got kited out and taken care of. But man, yeah, this game 1 was a show by both these teams. Um, they were honestly very closely matched. I think throughout the series, game 2 is the hardest, I think, stomp, if you want to say that, of the series. But game 1 and 3 were just really hard fought games by both teams. Um, this game 1 kind of had a little bit of everything. Um, but Vancouver was able to just kind of pull it off. Um, and it came down to the fact that, like I said, if the Tristana was safe, they'd win. And towards the end of the game, Tristana barely got touched. They got the Elder, and it was just boom, game was over. You know, so like it looked like Small Brains had a chance, like 100%. Um, to the extent that I almost forgot who won this game because I was talking about just how well both teams were playing, right? Um, Pixel had a rough time on this Galio. I was really confused on the Galio pick, in my opinion, because I don't think Galio is really needed here. Like, I guess it's nice with Mbessa, but I don't know. I would have liked to seen something else into Aurora. I wasn't a fan. What do you got to say about that?
I'm okay with the Galio here. I don't. I think it's a champion that you can definitely tell the Galio players from the players who are just like, okay, he looks great here. Let me pick it. Um, and that might have been the case with Pixel. Getting far behind
Hmm.
and getting kited out, I think, was probably my biggest concern about the Galio here. Especially, you have Ash with Skarner in front of it, and Zenma's always played a very like hyper mobility Aurora uh, that's coupled with a lot of damage. So it's I see the theory behind the Galio. It just becomes very hard to be effective
Yeah.
in the game. Oh man, that arrow almost hit a 13. Um,
Dude, there were some crazy arrows by Mono. Mono,
Mono's always been the American sniper.
for real. He
So
had one Ash arrow
um,
where the Galio like flashed mid or something, and like I don't remember what it was, but the arrow basically like went through the Galio. It just barely missed because Galio E'd or something. It was some one of those weird things. I was like, what the hell? And then he had another one where he ended up catching him, and it was the Galio again, and it was literally like the Galio flashing into the arrow. And it was the funniest thing, man. He was sniping
I
on this
think
Ash.
I think my biggest thing is like this Mbessa jungle. I don't know. I probably lean towards just not being a fan of it in this specific instinct. I know there are some players that can pull it off. Brandino being a big merchant of that, and even dating back to Flame Dog when he played on Insane Banana, was an avid Mbessa enjoyer. But I don't think in this team comp it's the greatest pick here. I know it's a Galio delivery, but do you really want to dive into a Mumu Skarner Renekton? Uh, there's a lot of appeal for this Ash.
Yeah, I think it's pretty scary. But that's what made this game so great because like either team could have won. Um and Smallburns was so close to getting this victory, which uh would have solidified the series for them as they were able to pick up that game 2 win. But man, like it was it was so back and forth. Um every fight was on a nail's edge, and there's one. Let me see if I can find it for you. It's the one where they catch Tristana, and I was just like, okay, like we here it is, you know. And I was like, here's the game. It could have been around Soul, just can't remember. Let me see. Oh, I don't think it was. It's like right there in the river by the mid lane. So it's by that bush right there. Is where like the fight starts. I just don't remember exactly when it happens. Okay, this is it. I found it. So it's like about 21, just go to 22 minutes. They pick off Zema before the start of the fight. He's backing on a ward, unfortunately. Nearly is able to get out, but Tristana got the reset on jump. So they get this pick, and I'm like, all right, so probably just gonna be the soul for free at this point, right? But they get this crazy engage right after onto the Tristana, and I want to say it was like a Vic Flash W into a flash by Amumu to lock him down more because he did have the cleanse. And then one punch just finished him off kind of in the back line there. The Ash arrow kind of went wide, sadly, but it was fine because after that the team fight was won. And they did this without their Aurora. Aurora was coming back with TP, but not for like 3 seconds after the fight already started. It was just a crazy fight, and then you just saw the rest of it. They just kited him nice and pale, and it just was unplayable. So that's what I'm thinking. Like, okay, like I think Small Brains could actually win this game. Like this looks looking winnable. But after everything that they did, like something bad would happen. So, which
Yeah,
we can discuss the soul because I'm actually a little perturbed how the soul played out.
let me look for that.
Yeah, they try to do Baron like a little bit before Soul spawns, and it's a bit of a mistake by um, a little bit of a mistake. And Mbessa's dead, and One Punch is fighting the Mordekaiser instead of running towards the Drake. And I am just so baffled by the play. Like you can collect this soul for free for your team. The team wins the fight too, by the way. They win the fight, but like you could have had soul. Don't walk bot, right? Walk straight through jungle, straight to the Drake. Even you can tell your team to play like slow play it. If you're trying to say he's trying to zone the Mordekaiser, I just don't feel like that's his job. Like his job is to be there for the smite. Um, and I was just really upset. And I could have sworn he did that twice in this game because I think there was another Drake, maybe Soul Point, where he was just farming the red buff or something, or maybe that was Elder. I don't remember. It was really weird, and I don't know what was going on there and where the disconnect was. But definitely was a bit disappointed by that.
Yeah, I don't. The pathing for him to get to that dragon was weird. They'll go through bot lane and then come up. Um,
Yeah,
was interesting. Yeah, I don't. I would. That would be something I would like to just hear that side of it, and maybe it was a comms thing, um, or whatnot. But regardless, I mean, they get soul, but yeah, they win. They win essentially the 4v3, and have tempo onto the map
yeah.
after that. Get tier two mid. So
There was another one, and so this comes off the back of a bit of a Baron fight here. They're able to pull Tristana off. I want to say so. It's 34 minutes if you're wondering. They're winning the fights. I for the most part, it was a nice impale. They pull Tristana in. Tristana gets killed, and then they just kind of clean everybody else up afterwards. And they get. I'm pretty sure they either get the Baron or the Baron is stolen by Stunner getting in there. I cannot remember. So, so this is the 34-minute fight. They win the fight, and there's something key that happens, right? So I believe maybe the inhibitor does respawn for them after they get the Baron. I want to say, and Drake is on the table as well, which is the Elder Drake. Um, it might not have happened. It might not have been this fight, but there's another fight maybe before this where it was a similar situation where they won a fight and instead of resetting, they give the inhibitor because the inhibitor just dies to minions. It was a weird thing where like I don't know why they were all trying to mess around to make a play. So it obviously was. I think it was this inhibitor that is down currently, but it might have been a little further back before the Baron. It was such a strange play, and it was stuff like that where I don't understand like what is happening in the game where like you're looking at it and you're casting. You're like, what's going on here? Small Brains like they lost this game off of weird decisions like that. Like their team fighting was excellent. They played the game well. Um, but yeah, it was just a little weird.
I mean, I've always considered small brains to be kind of they set the bar for team fighting. Um, either iteration that I've seen in past years. It's just they play a small subset of champions very well, and they always attack the back line. Like they don't waste any abilities on the front line, which I think is the key to their team fighting. Um, but yeah, now that I'm kind of like going through it, this definitely looked like they were just kind of towed around macro wise and maybe weren't all on the same page as far as the decision of what to do as a team
Yeah, 100%.
in this regard. But every time I'm kind of like skipping through just to try and get a little more context of the game. It always seems like they're winning fights that ideally they're not on even footing
Yeah,
with them. But I'm seeing this Elder Drake went by. One punch was. Oh, okay. I see. Vic was starting
yeah.
the red buff. I thought One Punch was doing the red buff while they're
There's
taking Elder.
another play where I swear he's doing the red buff. I don't know which one it was, but it was still nonetheless. It might have been yesterday. I don't remember, but it was just like what's going on here, you know? There's so many
Mhm.
circumstances that could have went differently if the team was just on the same page, of course, and it didn't. Vancouver played excellent. We're not talking about how well Vancouver ended up getting and pulling this off. And when I say they played excellent, I really just mean, no offense to anybody, this is just a Choros Marco show, in my opinion. They played fantastic. They did so many plays where they just um, were winning these small little skirmishes and keeping themselves gold efficient, even in a game where Small Brains was winning a lot of these team fights, and that ended up edging them, as well as the fact that the split pushing by Marco was really really good. So, but yeah, we can jump into game two here. Game two was the one that Small Brains won. I'm not really surprised. The thing is, you could see exactly why. Everybody got a champion they want to play, except for technically Fid, but I think he played the Lulu excellent. It's something he's been picking up. But yeah, everybody got their champ. Vic got Kasante, One Punch got Volibear, so he's able to go back to a champion in his like main pool. Zemo, of course, got his Azir. Mono didn't go off on the Sivir, but it's something they've been loving a lot, and he's been playing well on. This wasn't like necessarily the game, but nonetheless, like they got their champs, and it was definitely a barn burner of a game a bit at times. But they really focused on Pixel. Pixel had another rough game. Stunner did what he could in the jungle, but him and Marco were kept relatively quiet. I mean, yeah, technically Marco did damage, but I mean, he was smacking Casante a lot. Um, and Charles, he picked the Yonara, which I don't hate Yonara, but she's not as strong as she used to be. I don't think she's like, I don't. If it's Sivir or Yonara, I've talked about this many times. I'm taking Sivir or Yonara every time.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think the Lulu really also altered the game a bit. It was like a really smart pick here to keep people alive, especially this Azir, because that's who end up like you really want to buff up at this point because the Sivir was struggling a bit. Just buff up Zema, make him unkillable, and let him just do work. Um, but it was a very fun game too. The decent amount of back and forth. Uh, Volibear was just a menace every time we got to look at the back line. It was so funny to watch. Um, but yeah, it really just came down to just Azir play after Azir play, man.
I hate this draft for Vancouver.
Yeah, I'm here to listen.
I'm not a fan of this at all. Um, First of all, you're B wanting Sivir. What? Why R2 the Vi here, and then Volibear Azir. Okay, now you can't pivot away from this draft at all. You have to go with the Oriana, even though I would still argue Vi Ari is probably better in this spot, not knowing their champ pools or anything. So, I mean, you're 2v2, you can attack Azir and even Volibear before he gets an item or two or some game pace to him. But there's just no way without a winning game state and Baron that this Vancouver Impact team comp ever breaks the wave clear from Azir Sivir. Like I don't like Vi in general, but I see her uses and you're just forced to play a specific style with the Vi. And Volibear is like, okay, I'm just going to kind of do your style better and scale better because I can tower dive.
Yeah, yeah. I
That
think the big thing was though too, like Volibear like played really well this game. Like I said, One Punch was doing his job very excellently to the extent that he was even impacting top lane to like burn the grand challenge. He went up there twice and did that. Now your Casante is really not in kill threat. He doesn't have to be too scared of this pick. And if Yora can't get off the ground, right, she's going to have a harder time playing the game. That is the nature of these champions. Fiora, Aurelia, Camille, there's one more I'm missing, Riven. That is the nature of the four horsewomen of top lane. You can throw there's one other one in there you could throw in there.
Yeah, that's an old callback.
Yeah, and so I'm missing a champion. That's what's bothering me. There's technically five because you kind of throw a fifth champion in there. I just don't remember who it is. So any which way, like it's definitely one of those things where he was doing well on the map to impact all his lanes, and he was making it so that no matter what, they didn't have a win con, and that was something that One Punch did so excellently this game. Then when you got to the mid game, again Zema was just doing the Zema thing. Anytime he's on his ear, it's like a free win. I think 99% of the time, people did not beat his Azir a lot for a reason. I will say this time and time and again: stop giving him his Azir. I guess if you want to just like scrap a game, go for it. And maybe Vancouver decided, well, I mean, we don't value banning all this stuff. Just screw it. Give him his Azir and we'll just send it. My only thing is this: you could do that, but if they get that win, like you get some momentum, like that could have changed the series. And we'll get to game three. Game three was a small brain's favorite game, and they almost lost the series on the side of Vancouver. And I think part of that was what I just said. You gave them momentum. Like you took care of them in game one, a really hard fought game. You made them work, and they were probably tired and exhausted after like a hard loss like that. You gave them breathing room. Um, Something very very scary to do, in my opinion, against a team that plays really really well off emotion. So
I th- I think if you give Small Brains this comp, it, it I mean, you're up 1-0. I can see it, but this is for a team that I don't want to say criticized. I think that's too harsh of a word. But we've made um worrying statements about their champ pools, letting them get basically their A tier champions or S tier champions, and then just not drafting to attack them correctly. That's a tough task here for Vancouver. So it's not a surprise. It's speaking of Zenma Zazier, like I've leaned against it, and he's very stable. Like this man knows the matchups inside and out. He knows when to do stuff, how to play it. Like it's something that you have to attack with range,
Yeah,
and be make him feel uncomfortable, make him feel the pressure of it. But when you got stuff like that, and then you're still worrying about Volley Bear, Vic is a fantastic Asante player. Like this, just who do
yeah,
you get behind in this draft? The other person's gonna pop off. Like
yeah.
this is small
And
brains
it's
in a nutshell.
something I should note is if you the Otacon was a crazy fight, but the both top laner and mid laner TPing in really fast, and you just see the Azir thing. It's just Azir's. Marco can't get a proper TP in. His TP location isn't as good. I think Small Brains pulled the Otacon properly to allow for the Zema TP to be effective. Like they pulled it down towards the lane so he could TP on the lane minions and be with the team and not be TPing towards the tri-brush. Um, don't know if they knew there was a ward there for TP for Marco, but man, like that was just such a well played Alakon by a team, and then they just win the fight from there. It's this is the kind of stuff that we've you're talking about. Great team fighting from this team has always been a thing. So really well executed, really well good uses of Otacon. I know when I've played with them recently, even I've discussed like the Otacon, like we should pull the Otacon in this direction or this direction. Something I've kind of learned from, I'm not gonna lie, watching I Will Dominate. He talks about it a lot. People just
Yeah.
they troll the Otacon so hard because they're not pulling it like you'd pull a Drake or like you'd pull a maybe the Grubs or the Rift Herald. You can do that with Otacon too, and you want to pull it in a direction that's advantageous for your team, right, and a disadvantage for the other. So, just a beautiful Otacon play. Um, from there, Small Brains were able to fight over this Baron and acquire it. Just a really nice tempo play after killing the Fiora. I think that's the right call. Get the Baron real quick, reset, and they're just too big. I think they just win the next fight, and it's pretty much over with. Um, and it's kind of expected. I mean, they drafted that late game type of comp, and they got to their late game pretty quick with the Azir already being so fed, and a Sivir no slouch with about 3 items. I mean, yeah, sure, the Yunar is a little further ahead, but not to the degree that's gonna like break the game. I also think them trying to kill Cassante instead of being with the team was a very interesting decision.
Yeah. Speaking of Otacon, just literally go to a website and read what it does, and it makes so much more sense there.
For what exactly?
So you made a comment about Dom talking about pulling the Otacon. If you are out of the Otacon circles, then you won't take the debuff damage regularly. You have to get hit by Otacon to take it. So if you're
Oh.
an AD carry or if you're like a mage, something I do a lot with say like a Nivea or Hui, since they have a lot of DOT, is I'll apply the damage outside of the Otacon like circle, the
Mm,
arena that they set up with the terrain, and I will not have the debuff on me. And same
interesting.
with AD carries. If they keep leashing and orb walking in and out of there, they will dodge that
Yeah.
debuff.
Yeah, because if
So
you're
the
all in
only
it, your magic resist comes down too, right? And that's really bad.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's up to 50 stacks, and if I remember correctly, when you're in the Otacon pit, you're minus 2 stacks every second, or it's either that or it's 1 stack a second. But that on top of the fact that it's a minus 5 stacks or plus 5 stacks, so minus 5
Mhm.
armor and MR every time he hits you with either the blast attack or that slash that he does.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're a damage dealer, don't stand in the Otacon pit.
Well, game three. Now, game three is probably the saddest story, and I know Small Brains is got to be feeling pretty down about themselves in terms of how this went because their season was on the line. I kind of talked about it a little bit with the playoffs for week four and what kind of teams they do, and we discussed how pivotal this matchup was going to be this week because the winner of this controls their destiny. That's how it went. And you don't want to be in a situation where, again, as I've stated, you have to rely on others to help you get to the playoffs. You want to control your playoff picture. And they had it. Small Brains was up big early, man. They played an excellent first 20 25 minutes of the game in that kind of range, and then everything just started slowly falling apart. They got whittled down, and Vancouver found a way back in. Starting off here, One Punch playing the Sejuani. I think he played one of his best Sejuani games I've seen him play. Um, this split. Obviously, it's a lower tier pick for him, but it was like he played it really really well. He upgraded that play. Um, the Trundle was a good pick into it because of course it counters, but they made Trundle's life pretty miserable early. Gwen went absolutely off in terms of damage charts, and I'm sure hitting Mundo was part of that. But I mean he was doing a lot of work in fights. Like Vic was in there, he was being a menace. Um, and then you had Mono on the Zeri, which I liked, but it kind of made me feel like this is going to be like the Zeri game because Vic did a lot of damage, but again, like a good chunk of that was Mundo. The other thing is just like Zeri now needs to carry these fights because the Gwen isn't going to just one shot the whole team instantaneously. So it was always up to Zeri to really take off in these fights. And initially, Mono was doing great on the Zeri, was really strong, um, playing really well, but he had a lot to deal with in the game. Um, and the game just slowly but surely fell apart, man. It's got to be one of the biggest tragedies I've seen for a team in terms of the lead they had. But that's also why Vancouver coming back was so impressive. Very, very good comeback.
Yeah, I heard this was definitely the one to watch. I did not get a chance to watch this, but I heard this was a banger. And actually, I think Stunner asked me if the VOD was already up, and I went and published it. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna watch it, but I need a sec because that was intense." So that also led me to believe that this was a banger of a game. I mean, I think team comps are even. I don't really think there's anything draft wise I can really comment on or something I like or dislike. I think both teams just kind of got what they want. They're both pivoting for kind of a front to back style of fight. Um, and maybe you could say Vancouver's comp is a little easier to execute, but yeah, overall very similar.
Yeah, I mean they did a good job focusing Charles early, making this Kate pretty much a non-factor for a lot of the game. Um, you can see multiple ganks, and the sad 2v2 play that happened too was also part of that. Um, but um, that was like the big thing. I think that really made you think Small Brains was going to win it because there was a Caitlyn with basically no damage for a good chunk of this game because she was so far behind. A Morgana that's not going to be that threatening, and then you had a Trundle and a Mundo walking at you. Okay, whatever, who cares, you know? Um, but they just kept finding openings. I don't remember how big the gold lead was at one point because it was pretty substantial. Let me kind of scroll through. I want to say they were up like around 5K. I thought at some point, like 5 or 6K at some point in the game. But you can see like around the 12-minute mark, it's 7 kills to one. The Zeri's fed, the Rise is fed, the Sejuani's big. Everybody is where you want them to be. You know it's one Drake to one Drake, which I think does matter in context too, because if they could have maybe got to Soul quicker, um, maybe this game goes differently. It was a Chemtech Soul, nothing too insane, but I think that the macro by Vancouver, and this is the biggest thing, the macro by Vancouver was so good. Every time Small Brains would go for something, Vancouver's like, we got Trundle, we got Mundo, just go hit turrets. If you watch this game over, you'll see that tons. They're trading Herald, I think, for, I want to say they traded Herald for bot turrets. They got two bot turrets. Um, I could have sworn. I mean, they traded like maybe a Drake for some top turret or two. Like they were constantly trading stuff in the game and just playing around that understanding like we're not ahead, let's just keep the gold value up so that way when we get to this team fight stage where we're kind of forced to fight these team fights we can actually play. It's something that actually small brains can does well at times too, where they're just like, let's just have our AD carry go hit turrets and get gold, put gold into mono, right? It's something that they've done in the past as well when they're behind. So it happened to them, and it kind of became an issue. I don't know if maybe there was a way to kind of solve that, but like yeah, it's the Otacon here, 20 minutes. They're taking the Otacon. Nobody else on the map is doing anything. They're trying to hit top turrets. They kind of messed up and decided to go for a dive. I think they shouldn't have done, and end up giving over 2 kills to to the Gwen. A bit of a funny play there, but I like the idea. The idea is take turrets, right? They got a tier 2. They're looking to get a tier 3. It's 13 kills to 2. It's 3K gold lead now, right? But you know why it's not bigger? Why the gold lead's not bigger? Look at the turrets. Turrets are pretty much even across the board. That's why. Like that was so smart by Vancouver, man. They knew what their draft wanted to do, and they were effective with it.
Yeah, I do question. Maybe there could have been a little more access to anti-healing earlier. I mean, not only does it help Mundo, I think probably Vic should have been like maybe the first one to get onto it. Um, but you have a deceiving amounts of healing coming out of the Trundle, and even the Morgana in the middle of team fights gets a decent amount of spell vamp with the pool. So, um, I'm here at around the 25-minute mark. I'm not seeing it, so I'm just kind of wondering when this kind of comes into play.
Yeah, I mean that is actually a really good point, and could have affected things a bit. Nonetheless, though, they were still in the driver's seat. I mean, they're up 4K at 26 minutes. They get the Baron. Like I think this is where they went peak in gold actually. Um, they're able to win
Okay.
like a little fight here at like 28 minutes, and I think this gold lead gets up to about almost 6K at this point. You know, they're able to get this third Drake. Um, so they're setting themselves up for success. But the only problem is Mundo. Look at the split pushing. Look at that. Providing so much value. And Marco was doing this all series, man. All series. And I think it's very effective against small brains. We saw it against them in, when they played against Coinflip. Now we're seeing it against them here. Oh, they don't get the Drake. I forgot. Yeah, this is the other thing I wanted to point
Stunner,
out. I
Stunner stole 2 Drakes
no
that
no
I've seen.
Stunner still 3. I forgot all about
Oh,
this. Yeah, I'm
spoiler.
sorry. Yeah, at least spoiler for you. Two of them were straight up just steals, and one of them was kind of more of a 50-50. But that's the point. He won every single time on the Drakes, and I was mentioning it in the prior games, and I forgot all about it for a second. But that was the other thing. If Small Brains get Soul here, they're fine, and they lost 2 Drakes, so they get on Soul here at 29 minutes. If they don't lose these 2 Drakes, they have Soul, right? Literally Trundle saving the game, sacrificing his body. So it was split pushing and it was Trundle heroics, man, that really clawed them back in the game. And I think at some point it just the mental edge was going in favor of Vancouver too. I think that was starting to sink in. Like we lost our inhibitor, we don't have no inhibitor of theirs. They still have towers. We're down to like just a single tier 2. We're missing a tier 3, and then you're losing Drakes too. It had to be the most frustrating thing for them in game. But you see how big the gold lead was. Yeah, 58K to 51K at 31 minutes. Even with what's happened at these Drakes, this game should be over, right? And I think if
Yeah,
if they if they played it better, it is. Um, man, why does One Punch not just throw his ult there? He's down in vision. 31 and a half minutes is a good example though. You have a pick on Pixel. All you gotta do is throw the Glacial Fissure. He doesn't see it over the wall, and I think this game is might be almost done at that point because you're going to they're now a man down. You can apply pressure to these turrets all you want. Mundo just burned his flash on the bot side of the map as well. I think from the Gwen. Like these are like the saddest mistakes too. And then like you go a little further, Kate goes off. A little further in the game, Kate literally goes ham. It's like 33 minutes or something like that. They imagine if they take that fight because they're hitting Baron. Imagine if they have this fight and the Morgana's dead, right? How much that could have changed the state of things. but
Yeah.
this fight is insanely close. They start off by hitting this Nautilus, which is fine. I think you can hit what's in front of you. Good pick on him. Maybe they went a little too hard. Kind of left the Maokai on an island there. And Pixel's able to flash away. Choros is able to flash away. Beautiful flashes. I think that the fight is kind of done, in my opinion. I think you can just reset, do it all over again. You already got a kill. But then people kind of try to fight back in. Yeah, they might kill Pixel. Mono kind of going hard, but then Choros just kills everybody here, basically. Everybody that matters. And now you can't even do Baron. Sure, there's 2 dead, but Baron's not off the table. Soul now becomes a thing off this play. The Soul fight is absolutely bonkers. Maybe the craziest Soul fight I've ever seen in my life. Um, it starts with Marco and Stunner hitting onto the Drake, but One Punch and Vic are there, and obviously Vic could totally turn this fight. I mean, he gets Stunner so low, and you got to think if he kills Stunner a little sooner, then maybe this is over. But Stunner gets a perfect flash. Man, this game was just absolutely insane. I've got no words.
Cinema.
It literally, yeah, it's straight cinema. And it really is sad though. I think if things just go a little differently, like we're having a different conversation, man. We really are.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some mid maxes that I think I kind of question a little bit. Um, like Zonya's on the rise. I don't typically see that
One
if they
Punch
go.
did not have smite, so that's why he lost his 50. So where did he smite? I did not notice that in
Um,
game.
but also like not having bloodletters. I feel like when you have double AP solo laners, and you're seeing Force of Nature onto stunners, Trundle is probably hurts as well. Like I said, there's a touch of like mid max where I'm just kind of like I don't I think it's a great in theory and on paper, but it could have been like executed and itemized a lot better overall. So I don't.
Oh, he
It's
did.
it's interesting, but it was a
He did have smite.
this looks.
Okay, it looked like he didn't have smite, but he did. He just loses a 50-50. He smited too. That is so unfortunate, man.
Yeah.
What a close little 50-50 that was. But yeah, then after that, finally out of the will and the power within, Vancouver was able to get a Baron. They were able to win another team fight, and it was pretty much all they wrote. So, congratulations to Vancouver. You've now found yourself with a date with Destiny against Hashira week 7 because they got a bye next week. Um, you win, and you're in, man. That's it. So you control it. You lose, and tomfoolery may begin. So it'll be really fun to see. But yeah, congratulations again to them. So let's go ahead and move on to the last 2 series of the week, of week 5, so we can get to these power rankings and we can get us out of here. So first off, Ninja Turtles versus Femboys. I was discussing this. This matchup would be very interesting, and it was clearly a banger. Was this series casted? Or was it the one we missed out on?
Uh, no,
No,
I believe this was
it
casted.
was casted. How lovely. I'm glad we have this. All right, so yeah, what a fun little first game we got here. Mr. Buffa here on the Orn. Nice Orn game. Uh, Lead has a really nice Vi game as well, and I think Vi to Wukong is pretty good. Taking that away from Tara is pretty smart. Um, but yeah, man, they were able to take a game off here off of Femboy Jellyfish. Very impressive. Showing that they are legit after getting like I think maybe 2 buys in a row or something. They definitely didn't play for a while. Uh, Tango going back to his good old quirky, nice little quirky game there. Did like 29% of team's damage, so that's pretty good. 41,000 in total. On the other side, Femboys kind of might have struggled in some spots here. Obviously, you talked about Terrace here. It wasn't the best game here on the Wukong. Rika did fine on the Silas, but I think they kind of drafted pretty well around the Silas to make him not be able to play the game for free. And you really didn't have a front line since you ended up going with the Aurora top, right? You had Alistar, but you're kind of forcing that. And you know what's really funny, Higgins? I know you're gonna watch this, and I did see the comments.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, you didn't play a hook champion, but you lost on a non-hook champion. So Just want to point that out. Am I wrong for the sentiment? I don't know. I don't know. You play Hook Champions well, brother. Um, I'm just saying I'm not sure what the champ pool is like, but when you pull out the All Star, the 0, 11, and 17 isn't what we want to see. Sadly, 17 assists is still pretty good, but 11 deaths is pretty rough. I will say it's not an easy game for you to play. You are playing into Morgana, Nautilus. I don't think Alistair loves to play into that necessarily. But I gotta meme you up a little bit because you did. He came in and he commented on last week's or 2 weeks ago's episode. It was like, well, then I will be not playing a Hook champion this week. So, or he's not pulling out the Hook champions, whatever he said. So,
It's okay. I remember a Recon game of his.
uh, fair enough.
I'll get in on the memes. Screw it.
I can't stop. It's memes, but it's also like I'm still learning the player. And when we were talking about last week or 2 weeks ago, at this point, I was talking about what teams could do better. Maybe what are some of their weaknesses, and it was something I pointed out. Like a Chample was something for small brains, but in the jungle spot. But I also think uh, another team that I noticed a Chample might be an issue was maybe Femboys because I wasn't familiar with Higgins' pool. I hadn't seen him play much anything else but his Hook champions to split and have high success on those. So that's all I had to go based off of. So I'm obviously I'm curious. I know Dippy's got a pretty deep
I,
pool. Eureka's got a pretty deep pool. Turris is kind of his pool isn't as deep either. So I think those are fair question marks. I'm not hating on the players. They're good players. It's just like the pool matters. The deeper your pool, the more value you bring to a fearless setting and competitive play.
I think it's twofold, and I'm not going to go super deep or take much time on this, but it also comes down to team dynamic as well. If you have a player that has a very expansive wide champ pool, take Finboys for instance, since they're in front of us, Rurika and Dippy. Um, but it's like what fits with the rest of the players that well. If Rurika's playing a lot of melee mids and that works for them, then by all means that's a strength that he play brings to a team. But also then if he's forced on say mage duty and that's what his team's like, he can definitely practice those and get those in as well. But that does shut out a lot of his like specialty melee mid picks, like the Imbessa, like the Viego, stuff like that. So it's a much deeper conversation. But I will say, while I did catch some of the nice friendly banter with Higgins, he definitely looks very comfortable on Hook Champs. But I also got to commend him that when it's not on Hook Champions, stuff like Alistar and the Recon, if he's allowed to get the go button, he's freaking going.
Yeah.
Like he is
Yep.
he is all in, and you better follow him, or better have a conversation of not giving him that much of the go button
Yeah. He's
because he
definitely
is
he's
going
definitely
to
not
full send
afraid.
it.
He's not afraid to play the game, and
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's
that's
fine.
exactly what I mean when
Yeah.
I when I when I say he's going to full send it. That's what I mean is he's going, and you'll follow him.
Yeah. It's just you can only go based off what you know, and I've got enough time casting and playing in this league and doing this show that I know some of these players very very well. So I know if weaker champ pools or very strong champ pools. Um, Whereas like if you're newer, I'm just still learning you. Maybe you just like those champs right now, and that could be fair, and that's what you're practicing. Maybe the pool is a little deeper. You just need to play some more games on a few different champions, right? It's never any actual hate, and I think Higgins has been playing excellent this split. By the way, I think he's been a force. Uh, you know, his thrush has been great. I've seen him on Blitzcrank go off. I think I'm pretty sure he's played some Nautilus too. The guy is definitely very good. If he gets these types of champions, so I would be very scared, and it's something that's even worth banning against him. Put him on stuff that he's not comfortable on is actually a good thing. That's a good quality to have because it does mean that your team can get other things more free. Um, so just something like there to definitely conversate about more in a different circumstance. But with that said, yeah, here game one. I mean, was um was again a Ninja Turtles victory here. I mean, they played really really excellent in terms of what they were able to get their team to do, which is get to the scaling part, allow the Corki to free fire throughout the game, which is kind of nice. There's a lot of short range targets for him to hit, which Corki loves. Jinx is not that bad for him to deal with, anyways. It's not. It's like if Jinx gets reset, she's a problem for Corki. If he doesn't, he doesn't really care. So I do like the draft they drafted around Tango here. To set him up well.
Yeah, for Ninja Turks, this bot lane is their like backbone of the squad here. I think Tango and Nexus, you could probably argue as being like the most consistent, maybe in the conversation for best bot lane in the league right now for just the way they've been affecting games, playing, doing just so much for their team, and it
Yeah.
just seems like they never really get behind or get to a point where they can't affect the game.
Yeah, I would even go this far, and I'm gonna throw this out there. I've talked about Akaza being an MVP candidate. I think right now, if there's a support player, it's Nexus. I think Nexus
I
is
would
good.
agree.
I, compared to what he looked like last split, and what I mean by this, and I know Nexus watches the show, he even agreed like he did not get to like do as much, maybe shine as much last split. There's a lot of factors that could have been, but man, he has showcased himself, and he is. You talk about being the backbone. He sets up the team so well, especially when he's on these engaged type of champions. Um, I do think the whole team is good, though. I think Sam Lett has stepped up his game.
Yes.
Me and Nexus have conversated about that. Mr. Bufa, every time he plays, I'm never not impressed with him. Lead has had certainly good performances. This one obviously going to stick out a lot on the Vi. The 14 kill game is always going to be huge. So it's not like that nobody on the team is not obviously performing well, but man, Nexus is a big part of that unit. Um, and to be able to shut down players like Rorika um, is in part because of a good support player. You need that. Um, and I think Nautilus does really well doing that into to Silas. What's up?
Oh, the 2v3 at 13.5 minutes just kind of showcased exactly what we talked about.
13 and a half minutes. Okay, I've been kind of like half scrolling through. I didn't
Yeah,
watch
Tango
this.
Fish and Nexus just 2v3ing a combo of Higgins, Terrace, and Mac, or Angel Boy.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to call him Angel Boy. I'll call him Mac until it's forever. He actually said he's gonna change it back when I talk to him. So
Oh, they're gonna make me make a channel for name changes. I swear.
yeah, they go on Nexus, which in theory is fine. I feel like they should have stayed on Nexus. I think Nexus played it well, but I feel like you don't need to jump on the Corki there. Nexus should be dead there. It should be fine. But because they kind of switched targets, it's a bit of a mistake there. Not saying that Nexus played it bad or anything. It's just that I guess Corky made himself look juicy because for me there, I'm just like, kill the support, kill the support, kill the support. Corky's not going to carry the fight. Kill the support. Like, it's fine. Um, so, but yeah, I mean, that is a good example for sure. So we can kind of scroll through. It was a tight game throughout the early parts of it. I'm gonna try to see where the game breaks. I see eventually the gold lead gets absurd in this game. So there's a Drake fight here at 23, 24 minutes. I'm wondering if this is kind of that point. I do see a TP coming in, so it looks like they want to take the fight. Probably fight. Oh, they just want to play for the turret. Okay. So it's not actually a Drake fight. They're playing for a mid lane turret. Nexus walking up. Oh my goodness. Yeah, just the Wombo combo onto the Jinx. Jinx pretty much out of the fight. Turris does get into the backline and does make some space, but unfortunately Jinx is just dead before the fight really starts to kick off. And yeah, that'll do it, man. That's where the game started to turn on its head a bit. From there, every time I was clicking through after that, I see the gold lead just slowly growing. And these fights,
Yeah,
these fights are close. I mean, I'm looking at a 27-minute fight, another really really close fight. But as long as Tanglefish is alive and can hit, I think he's fine. The game is playable. So Mr. Bufa just a really nice play here on the Jinx. Yeah, these fights run a nice edge, man. If Femboy gets any of these fights their way, the game is totally different.
yeah. This watching Ninja Turks play when they get a lead, they make me think so much of Instinct.
You
Because
know
they
what?
can just
I have a
grind you down.
I have a different take actually. I think
Okay.
they're less like Instinct and more like Small Brains. They team fight super well. They really like these. these comps where they set it up. The only difference is, Small Brains always plays more through Zema. I think this team does play more through Tanglefish. That's really the only difference. But like, it's always like the jungler setting up the team with the with Nexus. It's always those two, and it's kind of like what Small Brains was always known for, and then just team fighting excellently. Every week they just impress me with their team fighting ability.
I mean, I can see that. The only thing that makes me kind of lean towards like the instinct side is because I think they team fight well, maybe not small brains well, because they small brains does set the bar when it comes to like just pure team fighting. But I also think they've shown so many different flavors champ pool wise that I really really like what Ninja Turtles has just done all split.
Yeah. I'm gonna say
Um,
this. I think we have one team in this league that plays the slowest style, and it's Instinct. I think Instinct plays a very slow style. Ninja Turtles is a go button team too. They play pretty aggressive. Um, there's the closest team to LCK I've ever seen in my life is Instinct, man. That team, that they don't have go buttons because Don Don is super good at go buttons, but they definitely like to just get their items, scale up, and then they're just gonna pound you in the mouth because they can certainly play team fights just as well as anybody else. They don't look to be flashy. That's what Instinct is all about. They don't need to be, and I like that, But this is not an Instinct glaze, anyways. We're still in the series, but I'm just stating that's why I think it's different. I think Instinct is their own thing, and there's no team that truly plays like them.
no, I mean, yeah,
We'll
we can
discuss
go
it
on.
more as we get towards the playoffs because they're gonna be there. So, but yeah, game two here we got Femboy taking the victory here. Marika getting his Yone, which seems to be becoming like a bit of a patent champion for him. 9-3-5 on this pick. Once again, a really nice performance. Mac, aka Angel Boy, on the Kaisa. Another great Kaisa game for him. They've run a very similar comp before. I could have sworn they ran maybe something like this against Ghost or something, or maybe Team 3. So they've definitely done a very similar comp here. Higgins back on the Thresh. We just talked about how good he is on his Hook Champions. Not surprised to see him having a great performance there. Dippy kind of a quiet game, just chilling up there on Ambessa, but made Mr. Bufa's life at least a little difficult. And then Terrace pulling out the Fiddlesticks. Something I've seen this shampoo, and I think this is the first time we've seen it. If I'm correct, I'm not sure. I can't remember, but yeah, here it is. Here's the Fiddlesticks. So I like that. Very unique there. Um, Man, Tanglefish need to finish with a 4-4-4 scoreline. This 6-6-4 is wrong. uh, but yeah, Tanglefish over here playing some good old Jin. Nexus gets his patented Rel, but I will tell you the Rel Thresh matchup is very much a skill based matchup. So it's not going to be easy there. And it doesn't look like Ninja Turtles was able to find footing in this game. I mean, their best bet was Tango, and if Jin is your best bet, I think the game will be hard.
Yeah, this game I think is exactly what I would expect out of a jellyfish draft here. Terrace has been drawing fiddlestick bans the whole split, and the fact that you can let Rika loose on an AD champ, let alone an AD like melee mid, is pretty crazy. So I really do like this draft out of Femboys.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely is a very good draft from them. Um, Getting exactly what they want, where they want the champs to be at, right? Um, but now we get to see the Fiddlesticks. So now the question is the Fiddlesticks going to stay permaban for the rest of the split? That is going to be the question.
100% win rate on it if it does.
Oh my God, Higgins, the hooks, man. He doesn't miss. He doesn't miss. This is why you are the hook champion, man. Okay, Jesus Christ, so good, so good, man. Uh,
That first gank mid was
yeah,
insane.
dude, that hook was just so good,
Yeah.
man. So good. Um, but yeah, I mean, kind of just looking over this game. Obviously, like we said, they don't really get off the ground on the side of Ninja Turtles. They kind of kept the game close though for the early parts. Scrolling through, trying to see where this game kind of breaks open. Wondering if it's maybe a Herald, maybe a Drake fight. Oh well, something just happened. Let me scroll back. It was 4-4, and all of a sudden it was 4-7. It was right after this TP. Do they try to take a 2v2 bot side into the Yone Kaisa?
Looks like it.
Or does Rika just find a play? Oh, that's not it. Oh no, it's a mid fight. It looks like maybe. What happened? I'm trying to find this. Why it went from 4-4 to 4-6? Okay, it's just Higgins letting hooks on people. All right. All right, man. I understand. There's no fight over an objective. Does this kind of start their gold lead? Oh, it's actually a really close early game. Like the gold is so close. Is there anything you see that kind of breaks open the game?
I'm still kind of skipping through it a little bit.
This might just be close all game. Like I think the score lines look pretty rough, but it might actually be just a close game all the way because I mean it's still only 2K here at 23 minutes and the game ends at 29. So, oh, that's so unlucky. The bomba at 23 minutes just barely misses. Could have been a kill on the Mac. Well, let's see. There might be a Baron fight here around the 25-minute mark, maybe. And Fiddlesticks thrives around objectives, right? That's what makes him really, really strong. Yeah, there's definitely a Baron fight. Alright, let's see what happens. So, they set up a play around the top side of the map. Gragas is kind of by himself here. The team is trying to get there in time, but they just full send it with the Crow Storm, pick out the Gragas. And then they try to fight, but I think it's so hard to fight there. I mean, sure, they're under your turret, but you're kind of just walking directly into them. Maybe if Lee Sin can just get a nice kickoff first to start the fight, maybe it's playable. But yeah, just nice team fighting, team fight skirmishing there by Femboy Jellyfish, and the Baron is just enough to finally truly break open the game. So there is one more little fight here. Where they pick off both the Ari and the Rel. Not even a fight. It's just two fights on two sides of the map. They're trying to kill Rika. Rika gets a double kill. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, I'm at 13 minutes and he's 5-0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's hard. It's definitely hard. You're still at 13 minutes. Me all the way through the game already.
I'm like I seen the one dive and I'm just kind of like slowly digesting it a little bit, but
yeah, I mean, it
yeah.
just the skirmishing I think was the biggest thing. The skirmishing, the picks. I mean, the Thresh just doing so many nice hooks by Higgins, man, and I just cannot praise him enough. But here we go. We get a Rakan game from Higgins, and they win. So this is big. Though this game kind of went very quickly. 22-minute game. Honestly not a lot of kills. Mac went off 605. Obviously we just pointed out Higgins 209. So this is pretty big from him. Showcasing, hey, don't be talking crap about me, guys. I can play Rakan. So here it is. I know you mentioned the Rakan game earlier, but he redeemed himself. A 4-1-3 game on the Shinzao, and top side of the map basically did nothing. So Rika and Dippy were just chilling. But it's a very slow-paced game. 13-2 kills, man. A slow pace for a game that ended quick. But yeah, I don't really like Ninja Turtles Draft. I gotta admit, I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah, I'm not either. I don't think the advantages you get from Ezreal Karma are enough to like snowball into it.
I honestly, I'm gonna say this, and Nexus, I know you're gonna be watching. I don't want to see you play Karma anymore. It's not about you playing Karma bad. I just think you're so much better on being able to set the team up, and Karma doesn't do that. So, I will say that. Secondly, I'm not liking the Viego. I might have won a couple times last week, but I'm continuing to see this champion lose. You gotta stay away from these champs. I think you guys had like a game 2 or game 3 where you guys did something similar, and then the Viego kind of like it just didn't work out. I think you would want something from support. If you're gonna play Viego, you'd want something from support that could just like set up the Viego to get the reset in these team fights. So that's my big notes. Honestly, I just do not like the draft here. Tango is fine on Ezreal. He's had some really nice games on the Ezreal. We've seen some crazy clips from him. Um, just give me something else from the bot lane overall. Just at least the Karma pick. Or if you're gonna pick Karma, maybe just pick something else in the AD carry role. I guess would be my take.
I don't like the Karma for a different reason. There's just no avenue or no CC, and there's really no way you can walk into LeBlanc with this draft. I mean, Renekton can, but he's got to deal with a Mundo split push. Like your 4-man core is pretty squishy, and there's not much you can do to lock down this LeBlanc. She's just able to play this game however she wants.
Yeah, and the funny thing is like, it was 13 kills with 2. Rika definitely did some damage in the game, but like he wasn't even like, I mean he did 17%, but like really it was just the Zaya show. I mean Mundo actually technically did a lot, but I'm sure he was just beating on Renekton half of the game. So pretty unfortunate, man. I think if the draft goes a little differently, this could maybe be a different game. Um, I don't know what the limitations on the Turt's pools are, but I definitely would like to see something different. Maybe like the Poppy here from Nexus. I know he's played that before, and I think it's pretty good into Rakan. It's gonna be good into Xin Zhao, and it'll be good in the block. Yeah, where's the Poppy? Doesn't he play that?
Poppy's kind of goaded here.
He's played it
Poppy
next.
was banned. He was banned.
Oh, okay. All right, you
Poppy
get a
was
pass. You get a
banned for
pass.
three.
You get a pass. You get a pass. It was banned, but like I'm sure there's something else too. Like there are other picks that we could come up with. So
I mean, where's this Bard? Maybe like you might eat a stun if you go forward as LeBlanc, but you still have a little bit of protection and some stalling power.
I would actually say
But
yeah, it's not bad because the Bard can if they try to engage, the Bard is really good at just making it like okay, you can engage, but I'm just gonna click R. So now you've
I,
engaged, but your tools are gone, and then the Rise and Ezreal can now kite. Because once the Xin Zhao's and Rakans have gone in, they have nothing left, right? You use your quickness, you use your custom guard because those are your engage tools basically with those champions. Now it's like, what do you do? Bard said, yeah, you had those abilities up, but guess what? I just ulted you, and now those abilities are gone. And it doesn't matter even if he's on top of the Rise or he's on top of the Ezreal, because that gives enough time for cooldowns to come back up for the Ezreal or the Rise to kind of just start kiting it out. Plus the Karma Shield, or not Karma Shield, but the Bard W speeds you up too if he wants to kind of get in there and drop one of those for a quick speed up.
yeah, and then I'll insert. I don't like Viego here either, but that's enough of that.
Yeah, that's enough of the Viego hate.
Yeah, there's only like one mid champion I found that works well with Viego, and I'm not spoiling that. So.
The Sandra. What a game.
Oh, thanks.
What a game, man. No, like I honestly wish we got a chance to watch it because like I don't necessarily think anybody played bad. I think it was just draftive. I mean, you're watching like sure the game ends abruptly, which I actually want to see what exactly happens to cause this. They pick off Dippy. they go ham to kill Dippy on the top side of the map like 20 and a half minutes. So they take care of the Mundo, which they don't have a lot of stuff to kill him, by the way. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, that too.
And they're able to push Samlad out. Okay, so there must be something that happens here around this tier 2 top turret, maybe. I just don't know, or is it just a base race? Don't tell me this game ends on some weird like base race thing, man. I'm actually trying to figure this out as I'm watching because something weird happens, you know. No, okay, it doesn't end in a base race. Thank God. Thank God it ended in such a weird way. Honestly, it'd be really based if both teams just said send it. May the best team win at hitting turrets.
I mean, it wasn't really like the truest form of a base race, but they pushed the bot lane. You start to see the sequence at around like 20 and a half minutes.
Yeah, it was 21 and a half minutes. They triple kill here for Terrace, and it's just one of those things where like you kind of talk about who can walk into what. I mean, it's kind of hard to walk into the Xin Zhao too, to be honest. I think stepping up there is pretty crazy. And now you got this massive Mundo. He's got his Warmogs. Like he could just smack these turrets. There's nothing Tanglefish can do to defend the base, and Marika did his job. Just keep the Renekton from getting his reset, and by the time that he finally gets in, which is off a TP, the Nexus is gone. So what a way for the game to end. What a crazy decision there by Femboy to just say we're gonna send this and we're gonna win this game. Really impressive. So I'd love to see these two teams play again, and I hope they do get a chance to because I definitely am curious. With all that said, let's finish up this and we have nothing. All right, we have nothing to talk about because nothing is uploaded by Saboro or Free to Play 2.0. Of course, it is the two new teams. Guys, where's your uploads? What's going on here?
I will work on grabbing that replay.
Yeah. So we got nothing to talk about. I'm sorry. Maybe what we'll do next week, if we after we get the replay on this, maybe we can at least discuss the game for in week 6. But Saboro, they get the dub here. It's a 2-0 sweep. I'm sure they took care of business. They've been looking great these last couple weeks, so I'm not too surprised there. I wish I had known that. Sorry we don't have the replay up, guys. It would have helped, but it also would help if there was some stats there. I don't know what happened, but they also didn't post any screenshots for us, so I do apologize to you guys, Sabora. We will not be able to discuss your week 5 matchup at least for now. So with that said, I guess we could do a really quick, since we're already at 3 hours anyways. I don't care about doing these last two things. Let's just kind of look at the standings here, and let's kind of break it down. So, coin flip at the top right. They have a date with Destiny as they should be playing at Hashira, and that will decide. I would say that's going to decide the 1 seed more or less. That they're both sitting at 4-0. And then Vancouver Impact Challengers sitting in that 3 spot. We talked about them. They are technically 3-2. 4 wins would be enough to get them in, as nobody could catch them. I believe. Yeah, nobody can get to 4 wins. So all they gotta do, like I said before, is win week 7, week 7 over Hashira, and they will find themselves in the playoffs. Scorch, Insane Banana Posse, and Small Brains, as I've kind of discussed, they're all in a similar boat. Luckily for Insane Banana Posse and Scorch right now, they've got an edge on Small Brains in terms of wins, but that doesn't matter too much as Small Brains will be playing Scorch coming up here, and if they beat Scorch, they will put themselves in at least a opportunity to make the playoffs if Vancouver loses, because then Insane Banana Posse happens. The question is, who does Insane Banana Posse play? Let's see.
Let me pull that up real quick.
They play Capachungus. That should be a win. And they play Coin Flip. Okay, so this is very interesting. Week 7 could be a week. If Small Brains gets the win over Scorch, I'm gonna assume that Insane Banana Posse can beat Capachungus. So if Small Brains gets the win over Scorch, and this is only a Small Brains win. The Scorch wins is a little different, but this is why this is unique. What's going to happen is now, week 7, every match for that group is going to matter. Because if Insane Banana Posse wins and Small Brains win, if they both win week 7 and Vancouver loses, you now have a 3-way tie for that 3rd seed. Though there is no longer official tiebreaker matches, there will be ways to break that tie because everybody will beat everybody. So Insane Banana Posse beat Vancouver, Small Brains lost to Vancouver, and then Small Brains beat Insane Banana Posse. So it would be a 3-way tie, with all teams being 3-3. So it goes to match record. If the match record has any ties in there, even if it's just 2 teams tie and 1 team is left out, then those 2 teams take those match record ties, and then it would go into win time, I think, right? So it is going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. So week 6 is very important. I think the match to watch is Small Brains versus Scorch. Scorch might have the same situation, possible setup. I have to look. Can Scorch still make playoffs with that being their situation?
Well, that will be Scorch's last match of the split, as they do have a bye week 7.
Okay, so then week 7 isn't as interesting. Now, has Scorch beaten either Vancouver or Insane Banana Posse?
I believe they beat Insane Banana.
Okay, so that would be the similar
Yeah.
situation then, because it would
So
be a three-way tie.
you have a three-way of Scorch beating Banana, Banana beating Vancouver, and then Vancouver beating Scorch.
Okay, so it'd be the same thing with the small brain situation if it goes. So small brains and Scorch both, like, this matchup is really pivotal for them, but it still does not matter at all if two things don't happen. And Insane Banana Posse doesn't at least win one of their series, and Vancouver doesn't lose. There is a caveat here too. Insane Banana Posse could theoretically lose next week, and if they do, then it goes up in the air because now they have to be coin flip, and that's not easy to do. So, uh,
I
putting it out there.
in order for Insane Banana to even have a sniff at playoffs, they have to beat Coin Flip because that's going to be like the one win that they got that nobody else got. Um,
But
and almost
we're not going off unique wins, no. We're going off match
no,
record.
but I'm just saying, like when everybody else lost, that's a big win
Yeah,
that they
yeah.
can hold on to and
Technically, if
say,
we're being really technical, Insane Banana Posse kind of controls their destiny too. They actually have the easiest way now that you bring that up because if they win both weeks and Vancouver loses, they're in. But I'm just going based off what I know. It's more than likely coin flip would win that series. I'm just being that type of I'm being that devil's advocate here on the whole thing. I think that's more likely what happens. With all that said, that does mean technically we have six teams that can still technically make playoffs in this group. Capuchungus falling to 0-5. It looks like, yeah, 0-5. They cannot make playoffs at this point. So I know I talked about like week 4 what they could have done. They had to win week 4 to even have a chance. So they're out of the race, unfortunately. So dropping down to Group B. Group B is pretty similar to Group A with that third seed situation. The top of the bracket, though, it does get a little interesting because I think Ninja Turtles plays Instinct still. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Ninja Turtles still plays Instinct, right?
Uh, Ninja Turtles has Instinct and Saboro.
Okay. So this is a great conversation. So there could be a four-way tie, probably. Some weird shit could actually happen like that. I assume it's still possible for that. Obviously, that requires Ninja Turtles to beat Instinct to even probably bring that into question, or Instinct to drop another series. But I don't know who Instinct plays the last 2 weeks except for Ninja Turtles. The point is, there's no guarantees at the top of this bracket, I guess, right now in Group B. But Instinct does control their destiny to get the first seed. All they have to do is win the next 2 weeks, and they're guaranteed. Um, Femboys, kind of similarly, control their destiny to make playoffs. Just win, and you're in. Ninja Turtles and Saburo have to play each other, so they could be the decider for that third seed. But also, it could get weird if Ninja Turtles wins something over here. And then that leaves Team 3. I'm pretty sure it's not possible for them anymore unless they have Ninja Turtles Saburo still on the schedule. If they do,
Team 3, I am almost 100% sure is out.
okay.
They get Ghost in week 6, and way to end the season. Team 3, you get Instinct.
Okay, so there's nothing Team 3 could do. Unfortunately, they have been eliminated. So this is going to be a 4-man race here in Group B. So Group A looking more exciting. We did talk about Group B though being basically the harder group, and this is kind of why the top teams are just really really good, and like the middle of the pack there's a clear drop off in the middle of the pack at the bottom 3 there. Of course, Ghost is forfeiting all the rest of the split, unfortunately. So, but even then, they weren't doing very well. I can't anticipate them winning too many series how they were playing at the time. I'm gonna be honest here. Maybe they could pick up a win over someone like Team 3 or Free to Play, but those wins aren't gonna matter if you can't beat the top of the bracket, right? So, it's kind of the same for those 3 teams. They're just like, hey, we're here. We're gonna try. Free to Plays looks good. They've had some good games, but just haven't been able to pick up any wins. And Team 3 kind of similarly the same thing. They've got a win under their belt, but it just isn't mattering enough right now. So that's kind of the situation. So week 5 in the books, week 6 and 7 are going to be very pivotal. Very excited for that. So why don't we do power rankings? I think I got some spice for some people. And I'll let
Yep.
CLT make sure not to mess this up for us this time.
Oh no, I'm messing this up on purpose now.
No, let's have it be fun. Let's have it be fun. Come on, come on.
All right,
Is it ready for me?
it is.
Okay. Nah. I just flashed on the screen for some reason. It wasn't black. But whatever. Maybe you guys aren't going to pause it. Don't pause it. Don't pause
They're
it.
li- they're
Don't do
listening
that.
to it. They're not watching. They're listening to it in the background.
All right, good, 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 good. Okay, here we go. Finish off this 3.5 hour episode. It's been a while. We are going to get the first three teams on the bottom. The bottom three teams. Let me clarify, bottom three teams. I don't think it's a surprise. We got Team 3, Free to Play, and Capuchungas Deluxe. Yes, I took Ghost off of here. If they're not going to be playing the rest of the split, I'm just not going to rank them. So yeah, those are your bottom three. So at 13 Capuchungas, at 12 Free to Play, and at 11 Team 3. Team 3, they've got the only win, so that's why they're above those two
Over
teams.
Free to Play.
Yes, over Free to Play, by the way. Do you have any disagreements there? It's kind of
No, not really. Yeah, Kappa did get a win, but it was with 4 subs, so hard to tell.
hard to really make a judgment call on that.
Oh, they got a map win, I should say.
Yeah,
So,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. All right, so no movement there. Go ahead and why don't we do the next 6?
3, 4, 5, 6.
Perfect. I figure we'll save the top 4 here. Yeah, so a lot of movement you guys can see, right? There's a lot of reasons for that. So big one, Vancouver's back-to-back weeks victories. They got themselves into playoff contention, sitting at third spot. They beat a pretty solid Small Brains team in week 5 here. So they move up 3 spots. Currently, I know that Scorch and the Same Banana Posse both have better record than Small Brains, but again, Small Brains history against Scorch, it's going to be tested this week, so I'm very excited to see how that goes. And they beat Insane Banana Posse, so I just don't think that's unfair to have that rankings like that, which is of course at the number 9 spot Insane Banana Posse, 8 for Scorch, 7 for Small Brains, and I'm sorry, I said that wrong. 10 for Insane Banana Posse, 9 for Scorch, 8 for Small Brains, and then 7 for Vancouver. Coming at the 6 is going to be Ninja Turks. Their loss to Femboys, even though it was a close series, does of course matter. So that's going to move Femboys up here, which they do move up a spot into the number 5 spot. Do you have any kind of disagreements there on power rankings that you see?
No, not really. I think this mesh of like Scorch, Small Brains, Vancouver will kind of settle itself a little bit. Scorch does play Small Brains in week 6, but these are teams that have outside chances of making playoffs, but they need a lot of stuff to go their way up until you get to like Vancouver.
Yep. Yeah, like I said, Vancouver controls their destiny. It's going to be a very interesting next 2 weeks because anything can happen. I mean, Small Brains could somehow miss playoffs for the first time or somehow find themselves in playoffs after some crazy willy-nilly stuff. Scorch could miss 2 playoffs in a row, something that probably has never happened to them. I think from what I know, it might have been their first miss was the last split. Insane Banana Posse, I think they made playoffs once before, but they're kind of hovering over here. They're always doing their thing. I think they're always a fun team because they always seem to be competitive enough, but they just they can never find themselves really getting over the edge. Um, but yeah, let's go ahead and do the final reveal. I think this is going to be the biggest spice of the week. So go ahead and reveal the top 4. All right, so you guys are gonna already be asking the question, yo, what's going on in Instinct? You know, I mean, the power rankings are a little fluid. Of course, we take into account what's happened in previous weeks. But listen, Instinct had bye week 4. They basically had a bye week 5 because they didn't play due to the ghost situation. I'm sorry, I just can't, with all good like faith, ignore what Hashira and CoinFlip have done, and that's my biggest thing. So I'm not saying Instinct isn't actually like you could actually have a conversation that right now this is 1A, 1B, 1C. These 3 teams, like I legit, you could just say they're all number 1 in a sense, but we can't actually do that because that's not how power rankings work. So I dropped them 2 spots because of that. Saburo found themselves moving up into the number 4 spot. They've continued to impress me. I wish I had the full info on the game they just played. I got a feeling that they took care of business well. But yeah, I just I had to drop Instinct. And yeah, I put Hashira over Coin Flip. I think Hashira has played overall a better split than Coin Flip. I think they have the MVP in my heart overall on that team. And Coin Flip, we technically don't know what the real roster is supposed to be because Matthias only played like 1 week, I think, in the top lane. That matters to me. There's a lot of context there. Krieger is the sixth man. He doesn't want to like fully play all the time. There's a reason that he's kind of taking some time off, I think, and just kind of chilling it out, which is fine. And so that matters. I think we're gonna see though. Coin flip Hashira. I think they play this week coming up. We're gonna have the answer to this question. Who is the better team? You're gonna see coin flip with the full roster playing in all the roles, I believe, this week, and Hashira is gonna be, unless I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna be, and Hashira is of course gonna be playing with their full roster. So it should be a fun one, I think. But yeah, that's the power rankings, man. What do you got to say at the top four?
I like. I'm on the Instinct bandwagon, and I'm on the bandwagon of all the top three here. So like I don't think any conversation regarding this top six kind of matters because the top six literally play each other this week. So let's get to games.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Turts gets Instinct, Femboys gets Samboro, Coinflip gets Hashira. Literally, the top six play each other
Well,
while Vancouver's on a bye,
I
and
wouldn't
then Small
say,
Brains play Scorch.
yeah, which is fair. I wouldn't say it doesn't matter. By the way, I think that's the
Ah,
wrong term. It does matter because regardless of what's happening next week, we still only have what we have up to this week, right? So that's why the power rank is always a fluid thing. But you are right. It doesn't matter in the sense of we're gonna truly know some of the questions that people might have on is this team truly the best team? Hashira, for example. Is this team truly a top three team? Instinct, for example. Right? We're going to have all those answers solidified this week. And is Ninja Turds taking that final step, or are they still a little bit away after what they had last year? And mind you, this is a rematch from last split Ninja Turds versus Instinct, and they pushed Instinct to three. Um, so, or not Instinct, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, they play Instinct, right? No, no, no. Yeah, yeah, no, they play Instinct this week, you said?
yes,
Yeah, okay, on my
yeah.
brain's like, yeah,
Ninja Turns
just
faces Instinct, Saboro gets
yeah,
Femboy Jellyfish, Hashira Coinflip.
yeah. So that's a rematch from last split. So this is going to be exciting. They went to three last time. I'm super excited for this matchup.
Which uh, I'm slightly annoyed with all these matchups. Why do two of you got to play at the same time on Tuesday? Damn it!
Yeah, yeah. I might cast one series, but I don't think I can cast the other one, boys.
I'm gonna get through like game one of my bowling series at the alley, and then I'm glued to the phone. Sorry, guys. Like I'm here to watch all of this for this week.
I mean, you haven't
Um,
taken any bowling off this year. Maybe this is a take off bowling day.
no, no, we are in first place, and it's 10K it's 10K for top for
Yeah.
first place. So
Never mind. This is
yeah.
not a take off day. I know CLT once in a while he'll take a day off, but he wants the money, guys. You see where this guy is at.
Tuesday's probably the one day where I'm like no touchy.
Yeah. Well, guys,
So
thank you all for watching this episode. Sorry it was so long. I,
my bad.
What's funny, I could have just did week four by myself, but honestly, I don't think that was even good. I just decided we didn't want to be up till 11 o'clock at night tonight, so we we did our best here, and I did my best with the week four games. I know it wasn't great, guys, and hopefully no more of me by myself moving forward. But that's what's really great about what we do. Every single split brings different challenges, and this one has just been some scheduling that me and CLT have really never run into, um, but it's kind of happened, and it just he's on a different schedule than he normally is on. I think, I've been dealing with a lot of different things in my life, and I know CLT has been dealing with some stuff in his life too. It's been hectic, man. So here we are. 3.5 hours later, we did it.
I say this with the utmost love for everybody in the league. I will be glad when this split is over with. We have
Yep.
went nonstop this whole year. Um, I gotta shout out like a lot of these teams that have came back, especially like Capachungus who did the Rec League too. Like 4 splits in a row, they've literally never really taken a break or skipped a league. So it's just, man, it's been a lot of league. I've met a lot of good people. There's a lot of new community
Yeah.
to this server that is has been fantastic to have around.
Yep.
Um, but man, this has been a tedious calendar year for the
Yeah.
whole server.
It has been. I will say this too. I think I'm looking forward to it being done for just a lot of things I've dealt with personally this year in my life. I think it's been one of the hardest years I've experienced. And just trying to balance this and balance work and everything else, it's been such a task. I mean, it's part of the reason why I kind of disappeared in Rec League. It's just been so hard for me. And I'm looking forward to next year just because I think we'll have some good changes coming. Um, and maybe being able to get some people around here to help us more with some things would be awesome. And maybe we can finally get some cool things for the show. I'd like to make some changes. I think we've done this for a full year now. I mean, we just hit a year,
Mhm.
like in August, from like the first episode. We can go check that. You guys can go check that if you want. So, I feel like at the end of this split, we should have like a celebratory, or this is like a 1 year thing, um, and to say thank you, you guys. So maybe we'll do something special for the finals week episode. But yeah, man, it's been a lot. So thanks again, and
Mhm.
if you guys are still watching here at the end, we appreciate you, and if not, we also do understand. And we'll see you guys next week, and it'll be a fun end of the split because we've only got roughly about 6 or 7 weeks left. Sounds like a lot, but it's gonna come quick.
Yeah, we finish up the week before Thanksgiving,
Yeah. So actually,
if I
that's
remember correctly.
that's like what, 5 weeks?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, 6 weeks to go.
Yeah, and we did mention this. We're not gonna have a week off this split either. I'm gonna re-mention this
Nope.
next episode, but we're not gonna have a week off. So this we're going right into playoffs. So yeah, that's it. We're halfway there. It's gonna be done soon. So
Yep.
thanks again, everybody. COT, thank you as always, and we will see you guys on Tuesday. Well, I will. COT won't, and then COT will see you guys on the next episode
You will
or
see me in the chat for sure.
in the chat. In the chat. All right, let's get out of
Yep.
here, buddy.
Deuces.